Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if reading Naruto is Acnologia konoha. Before I start, please support for more amazing content and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by MedrickLanster and link in description and support writer. Let's start the video. Chapter 1. The Gathering. Surprise everyone. This has been on mind for a while. Many of you have asked for something like this and I decided why not. I was inspired by the reading stories of Yubi no Shinju, Kronodono 12, Arashi Uchiha's reading stories, and I thought, maybe I can do something like this. And here we are. Now, this will have reading versions of the stories I have done and perhaps I want to do in the future, based on the feedback I get. Now to give context, the Naruto characters I will be from a time just before Naruto leaves on his training trip. Now a few filler arcs are canon here, such as movies 1, 2, and 3. The Waterfall mission, the Tea Country mission, the Yakumo arc, the Bikachu arc, the Kurisuki family arc, Land of Birds, Land of Vegetables, the Land of Sea arc, and the Suna support mission arc. Alright, let us begin the show. Gathering of the viewers. Alright, everything seems to be in place. Muttered a young man as he typed on a laptop. He was around 5'7" with shaggy black hair. His attire consisted of a long black overcoat with white trimmings. He had a letter M embezzled on his silver belt buckle. He wore dark blue pants with red lines going down the front of them. On his face was a black mask that resembles the head of a dragon with blue eyepieces and a red jewel in the center of the mask's forehead. This was Medrick, one of the Watchers that chronicles specific sectors of the multiverse. Alright. I have this recording done for the RDK universe and I should have one other done today as well. Man, it's hard recording these worlds. I wish this was simpler. Not to mention I have to go back to those earlier recordings and fix some mistakes I made. Plus there are those other new worlds popping up I will need to record as well. Medrick sighed. I could really use a break from all this. BZZZT. Medrick noticed he received a notification on his phone. He blinked as he saw it was an email from his superiors. Hoping it was the email he was waiting for, he quickly opened the mail. The email had 5 simple words. Your request has been granted. Medrick jumped into the air. Yes. He continued celebrating for several more minutes before calming down. Time to get everything ready. He cheered as he disappeared in a black flash. A few minutes later, we find Medrick in an enormous room with hundreds of comfortable couch seats with recliners. It looked like a mix between a theater and a large college lecture room. In front of the room was a very large projector. Alright, the projections are ready and food is ready at the leisure of everyone. Everything is good to go. Now it's time to get my guests. Medrick said as, with a snap of his fingers, several flashes of light appeared in front of him. Ow. What the hell is going on? Jiraiya, that better not be your hands on me. Sorry Granny. Can one of you please stand up? You're crushing me. Can all of you get the fuck off? Medrick couldn't help but laugh at the antics of everyone in front of him. As they all got back on their feet, he looked over everyone he had summoned. Alright, let's see the current viewers. We have the rookie 12 when they were in their young teen years. If I am correct, this is right before Naruto leaves on his training trip with Jiraiya. He rolls his eyes at that. Yeah, right. Jiraiya, the amusing pervert as always. The senseis are all here. Anko and Kurenai are still as hot as ever. Shizune is as cute as ever. Tsunade, damn, her breasts are bigger in person. Viewing them on a screen book really doesn't do them justice. He mused. As everyone got up, they took stock of their surroundings. Where the hell are we? Anko demanded. I don't know Anko, Kurenai replied. Jiraiya, what the hell is going on? Tsunade growled. She was about to enjoy a nice sake break when she was covered in a flash of light along with Shizune. Now she was stuck here. Jiraiya narrowed his eyes. Your guess is as good as mine, he replied. He was in a foul mood as he was getting into some valuable research time when he was teleported here. Tsunade narrowed her eyes as she turned to Naruto. The blonde raised his hands in surrender. Hey. I have nothing to do with this. Besides, I have no knowledge of seals to even teleport this many people. So I am innocent, Granny. Tsunade felt several veins pop as she glared at Naruto for using that blasted nickname on her. A cough got everyone's attention as they looked at a masked figure looking at them with a wide smile. Hello everyone. Who the hell are you? Tsunade demanded as the Jonin, Single Chunin, and Genin all tensed in case this was enemy. Medrick shook his head. Now. No need to be so tense. I didn't bring you here to fight. Why did you bring us here? Tsunade demanded. Medrick made a calming hand motion in response. Easy, Tsu-chan. Several more veins popped on Tsunade's head. You'll do your best to keep that temper in check. Who are you? Tsunade gritted out. Medrick took a bow. My name is Medrick and I am a Watcher. Everyone looked confused. Watcher. Yes, we are godlike beings tasked by higher deities to watch worlds and document their events, so all watchers may read see them for information or entertainment. Everyone looked in shock. You're God? A skeptical Naruto asked. Medrick nodded. That's right. And each one of us chronicles specific areas of several different multiverses. I am currently recording events for universes in the Naruto verse. Wait, the what? Everyone exclaimed in shock as they turned to the blonde teen. Naruto verse. What the hell was that? Ah. Let me explain. You see, each universe has its central character that the universe revolves around. And from that universe, several different versions of it pop nearly every day. Think of it as a river being split in different directions or a tree with its branches. The base is the original, and the branches are all the alternative versions of that universe. Sometimes the differences are small, other times the differences are quite radical. Medrick then snapped his fingers as several panels appeared as guests. Are they all me? Naruto shouted in excitement as he and everyone saw several different versions of the blonde ninja. That's correct. As I said, this multiverse revolves around Naruto. In each variation, you will find a version of Naruto. Sometimes you're similar to your current self, other times you could be radically different. You could be an Anbu, different facial features, a different gender, hell you could be part of a different clan and even village. Infinite possibilities, so infinite possible versions of Naruto. Wow. Naruto said in excitement as he looked at different panels. One panel showed him wielding two Daido swords, black and white with a wicked-looking mask on his face. Another panel showed him fighting with a group of customed warriors. One wore red and blue with an S on his chest. Another was dressed as a bat. One was glowing green and fired beams from his ring. Another was a green skin mane that could shapeshift. One was running really fast. A female was holding down the enemy with a lasso as another female with wings attacked with a mace. Hinata blushed as she saw a version of her with Naruto and what looked like an older version of herself and her younger sister, Hanabi. Though she didn't know why her alternative self and sister had butterfly wings. Kakashi raised an eyebrow as he saw a panel where Naruto had a pair of mature Sharingan eyes. What was more surprising is that version did not have a single speck of orange on him. Interesting. He mused. Jiraiya saw a version of Naruto with toad-like eyes. Sage mode. How? He muttered to himself. Naruto seemed so young, and yet he has a completed sage mode. How did he master it? More important, why did that Naruto look like he was on fire? Tsunade's eyes widened as she saw Naruto able to perform the wood release. But how? No one has had the wood release, except for her grandfather and Yamato, but his wood release is considerably weaker than what her grandfather could perform. Was Naruto her son in that world, or perhaps her grandson? She did see the boy as little brother's son, but this was more than she expected. Then again, Medrick did say infinite possibilities, so anything was possible, she mused. Anko hummed as she saw one Naruto having several females at his side. Many of them being in this very room. Who knew the Gaki could be such a player? And does that version have wings? She asked in confusion. As you can see, there are many versions of Naruto, and each is unique in their own way. However, they are all at their core still Naruto in some capacity. What you just saw were just glimpses into worlds that I have jurisdiction over. Jurisdiction? Do you mean to watch over? Kiba asked. Medrick nodded. That's right. I am currently charged with recording worlds in this section of the multiverse. I will probably be asked to record watch worlds of other multiverses later on, but for now, the ones I am recording are part of the Naruto-verse, except for one. So why did you bring us here? Tsunade asked in a more relaxed tone. I asked my superiors if I can bring you all here to watch some of the worlds I have recorded that has our little blonde here as the main focus. Tsunade narrowed her eyes. Why? She asked in a suspicious tone. What did he gain from all this? Medrick just shrugged. I was bored. Cue sweat drops from everyone. And entertainment. Several more sweat drops appeared. And as a learning experience for many of you. Some more than others. I think it will be good for all of you. So what do you say? He asked. Hell yeah, I want to see more. Naruto shouted in an excited tone. Medrick chuckled at Naruto's excitement. Everyone else was a bit more reserved but were also interested in seeing more. The idea of seeing other worlds was a hard offer to ignore. I'm in. This could be fun. Anko said. Same here, Kurenai replied with the other Jonin nodding in agreement. I am interested in seeing more, Jiraiya said. Troublesome. This is such a drag, but I'm curious as well. Shikamaru said. Well Medrick, you heard the verdict, Tsunade said. Medrick nodded as he snapped his fingers as the panel in front of him glowed. The audience quickly sat down to watch. Now if you get hungry just think about the food you want and it will appear in a flash, there's a tray in the armrest if you want to set the food and a holder for any drinks. Bathrooms are to the left and marked. Now the first world you will be seeing is set in the RDK universe. The story takes place on a planet called Earthland in the country of Fiori. This is a world where magic exists. Everyone's widen in surprise. Magic? Like wizards, witches, dragons, and fairies? An incredulous Tsunade asked as Medrick nodded. Correct, in this world, magic can only be used by 10% of the population. These people are known as wizards or mages. Their magic is powered by their mana or magic containers. The container is filled with something called ether nano, think of it as chakra. They convert the ether nano into mana or magical energy inside their containers to perform spells. If the container is empty, they can't perform spells. Over time, the container is refilled up by either resting and or absorbing ether nanoparticles from the atmosphere. Are you with me so far? They all nodded. So far it's not too complicated, as mana containers sounded like chakra network, while ether nano is the chakra that is absorbed and converted to perform spells. Spells come in a variety of forms, and there are also a variety of wizards. Physical mages, weapon mages, elemental mages, summoning mages, caster mages, holder mages, etc. Now wizards join together to form guilds to perform jobs. These jobs and the wizards are all ranked similar to your system. From D rank all the way to SS rank. Now we will be focusing on a certain guild known as Fairy Tail. Here's a rundown of their adventures so far. Everyone watched in excitement as they were introduced to Fairy Tail and its members. Naruto was in awe of Natsu Dragneel's magic. Being able to actually slay dragons sounds amazing. He wished he could learn something like that. Jiraiya and most of the other males had a nosebleed when Murahin was first introduced, which led to them getting smacked by several of the females, much to Medrick's amusement. They all smiled in nostalgia when they see Makarov, as they are reminded of the Sandaime Hokage. Tsunade sucks in her breath when she sees Urza for the first time. She glances at Jiraiya. He and Kakashi had the same look of understanding. This girl could pass off as Kushina's daughter. Naruto tilted his head when he sees Urza. They all had a good laugh, some cheers, and even tears as they saw all the adventures that the Fairy Tail Guild. Tsunade commented at how much trouble the guild seemed to get into, with everyone agreeing. Everyone had a good laugh when they see Gildritz for the first time, but cringe they see his injuries. Being a mage can be as hazardous as being a ninja, everyone mentally mused. They were all on the edge of their seats in the battle between Fairy Tail and Hades, who had enough power to be compared to a Sannin. They all cheered when Team Natsu manages to pull a win. However, everyone's happy mood dropped when Acnologia appears. They were frightened by the incredible power that was oozing out the black dragon and the destruction he was causing. Holy shit. That thing is as dangerous as the Kyuubi, muttered Anko. Naruto flinched but did not disagree with that comparison. But for some reason, he felt a connection to Acnologia. It was almost like he should know who the dragon was. But why he would know who this dragon was? He wondered if this was from the Kyuubi. Deep within the seal, the Kyuubi was also watching the events, and even he was impressed by the power of Acnologia. Though the Kyuubi still believes it would be the victor if it ever fought the dragon. Many did notice Wendy's odd behavior when the dragon appeared, but filed that away for later. Everyone flinched as they saw Acnologia destroy the island. Are they dead? Tsunade asked in concern. Despite only seeing them for a few minutes, she and the others grew attached to the Fairy Tail mages and hoped they were okay. Medrick smiled. You're about to find out. Oh, before we really start, I want to say one thing. You may see alternate versions of people in this room do things that you do not agree with or completely out of their character. I would like to remind you these are alternative versions, so don't attack them for what their alternative selves do, understood? Everyone nodding. Medrick smirked. Then let us begin RDK. World 1. RDK, Part 1. Alright, everyone, let's. BZZZT. Medrick paused as he felt the buzzing of his phone. 1 second, everyone. Medrick picked up his phone. Yes. You need to be patient. Yes, I promise to call you when it's time. I am literally just starting. I will get to it as well, but I want to wait. I will see what I can do. Don't be so suspicious. Bye. Medrick slouched on his chair after he put his phone away. Sigh. Oh boy. He exasperated. Everyone could tell the God Watcher was exhausted from the conversation he just had. Who was that? Naruto asked. Medrick sighed as he looked at his audience. Oh, a colleague associate friend named Aclux. A watcher such as myself. He helped discover one of the worlds that I currently have jurisdiction over. He wants to come over when I get to it. Why not start with that one then? Kiba asked in confusion. Medrick shrugged. That world is closer to the one you guys came from, though with some very noticeable differences. And more importantly, RDK has more recordings for you guys to watch compared to the other worlds I have jurisdiction over. Everyone nodded as they understood the logic of his decision. That makes sense, Shikamaru replied. Medrick nodded. Now then, let us begin RDK. And remember my warnings, he said as everyone turned back to the projection. Acnologia watches the scene below him in morbid fascination as Tenro Island completely vanishes thanks to his breath attack. Acnologia was a truly terrifying beast to behold. He was around 50 meters tall. The top half of his body was covered in black armored scales. He had 4 horns protruding from the sides of his head extending backward. The front of his head was round and blunt, his eyes were wide and beady, his mouth housed razor-sharp teeth, and his chin protruded into the shape of an arrowhead. His wings were black and had a feathery appearance to them, like a bird's. His underbelly, inner tail, and legs were all a dull gray color. His tail was long and ended in the shape of sharp dual-pronged stinger. The most distinguishing feature was the blue tribal markings that covered the top half of his body. Everyone shivered as they looked at the black behemoth before them. "I am still not used to seeing this thing," Kiba said as Akamaru shivered in fright with everyone else nodding in agreement. "Me neither. Especially after seeing it destroy an entire island with one attack." Choji said as he and most of the other genin could not wrap their minds at how any creature could just blow up an entire island with a single attack. Naruto found it more believable as he's the vessel of a being that could easily replicate the same feat. The Jonin, Sannin, and Hokage were more believing as well as they have seen the destructive force of a Biju. The Black Dragon had originally come to the island, sensing the Black Mage, Zeref, was on it. He wanted to kill the worthless human for the sins committed against him 400 years ago. Sadly, fate was not too kind as Zeref had disappeared already, but he did get something out of this trip. He found a wizard guild on the island. And of all the guilds, it had to be the one founded by that brat Mavis. Plus he saw the human he fought a few months ago too. Now that he thinks about it, only one of Mavis's brats would have the guts to face him in mortal combat. Though fight would be the biggest understatement since it only lasted for about 3 minutes. Still, for a human to last that long, deserves some praise. It was one of the reasons he spared him and not outright killed him on the spot. Now he had several other mages to have fun with. They even had 3 dragon slayers. Well, 4 if that artificial one was included. "Man, Gilderts is lucky to have survived his encounter at all," Naruto said as the others nodded. Gilderts was the ace of fairy tale and could rival the Sannin, but this dragon took him out in just a matter of minutes. Shikamaru frowned. "I wonder how he got out of there in the first place. There was no way that Gilderts could have escaped in his condition. Someone must have saved or helped him. But the question was who? I am sure that will come up later." Neji reasoned as Naruto narrowed his eyes in thought. "So he came to the island looking for Zeref?" the blonde asked. "Seems like it. Although, he was a bit late considering Zeref was already leaving by the time he arrived." Jiraiya replied. "He even knew about Fairy Tail having dragon slayers," Kakashi said out loud as he wondered if that was a clue to Acnologia's identity. "Do you think he has some connection to Wendy?" Tenten asked as she and many others noticed her odd behavior when Acnologia came about. "That might explain her odd behavior," Shizune mused. Naruto and Hinata frowned at the notion. Both were about to say something before pausing. Why was this affecting them so much? What did they feel so compelled to protect Wendy? "Let's not jump to conclusions until we get all of the facts agreed," Tsunade addressed. Why she did agree Wendy's behavior was suspicious, based on the memories seen, she was not a malicious person in disguise. So it was best to wait until they get answers to their questions. "Hi," everyone said. Unfortunately, he soon saw that these dragon slayers were laughably weak. Compared to the slayers and mages of his age, these guys were pathetic. Then again, none of these mages ever experienced war, so it was kinda expected that none will have the capacity that the others had. Plus it looked like they were recovering from a fierce battle, but even that factor would not have changed the outcome much. However, he did get some entertainment from the master of the guild. Being able to increase his height and be able to hold him off for so long for his children to escape was an impressive feat. However, surprise, surprise, the brats ignored his plea and came back at full force, engaging Acnologia in combat. "What the hell is wrong with them coming back to help their master?" Naruto exclaimed as he glared at the projection of the dragon. Jiraiya put a hand on his shoulder. "Easy, Naruto. We all feel the same, but there's nothing that can be done." "Grrr. Fine." Naruto growled as he sat back down. The dragon had to mentally shake his head at this. Why was he not surprised? Humanity really was one stubborn species. No matter how hard you put them down, they just keep coming back up like roaches. Though he must admit these humans were entertaining him more than he had anticipated. Hell, the 3 dragon slayers managed to push him into the sea. This piqued his interest ever slightly and he decided to test the brats and see if they would be worthy of his attention in the future. He rose from the sea and prepared to launch a breath attack upon them. The mages then began gathering their magic energy together when his attack was launched. At the last moment, a sphere appeared blocking the attack. However, the collision caused a massive explosion to erupt from the chain reaction. "Damn, right, we're stubborn. We won't let monsters like you keep us down." Naruto proudly proclaimed with everyone smirking at the blonde's determination. Medrick smirked and thought. Oh, the irony is gonna be overwhelming when they find out. Now as Acnologia looks at the emptiness where the island once stood, he senses a large mana signature below the surface of the sea. The dragon chuckled in amusement. So they survived, huh? Those humans are a tenacious bunch, I will give them that. Everyone released a sigh of relief they had been holding since the beginning of the recording. Oh thank Kami, they're all alive, Tsunade said in relief. Wait, what will Acnologia do now? You don't think he'll continue his attack, right? Shizune asked as everyone stiffened at the possibility of Acnologia attacking the defenseless mages. I don't think so, Shikamaru replied. Everyone turned to the Nara heir. What makes you say that? Ino asked. Remember he came to the island looking for Zeref, not Fairy Tail. He even admitted that he only attacked them to kill some time and have some fun. My guess is he'll leave them alone and go back to wherever his lair is. Shikamaru explained. Let's hope you're right, Choji said. He looks around, but he could no longer sense Zeref. The dragon growls at this since he was hoping to end that immortal's miserable existence for good, but it seems he was having too much fun. Oh well, it wasn't a total loss. He got to have a little fun. Something he hasn't had in a very long time. He decided it was time to leave and return to his lair on Mount Zonia. He flaps his large, black wings and sets off to the horizon. Well, it looks like you were spot on, Shikamaru, Ino said. Shikamaru smirked. Told you so. Well, he flies back home, he remembers a time when he was once human like everyone else. One that fraught with the same tenacity and loyalty for his comrades. He was loud, brash, and idiotic like that fire dragon slayer. Why it? Everyone exclaimed. That thing used to be human before. Sakura explained in shock. How the hell did he become a dragon? Naruto shouted as he turned to Medrick, who shrugged with a smirk. That will be revealed in time, Medrick said cryptically. Troublesome god, Naruto grumbled before being smacked by Ino. Don't you dare start like Shikamaru, Naruto. The platinum blonde shouted. And don't steal my catchphrase. Quite Shika. But he was betrayed by the very people he fought for, and those he thought he could trust just left him behind as he was slowly tortured and rotted away until he was finally executed. What was his name? It had been so long that he became forgetful of his old name. He had gained so many names throughout the centuries. Acnologia. Pinslayer. The Dragon King. The Black Dragon of the Apocalypse. The Dragon Slayer King. The symbol of fear. Brackle, the dragon. Avatar of destruction. The Black Dragon in the Book of Apocalypse. Hiba and several others gulped in fear. Damn, those are some evil titles to hold. The dog ninja said. Hate to say it, but some of them do sound badass, Naruto muttered out. I wonder how he got some of them. Hinata asked. I can tell you a bit. He earned these monikers after slaughtering over 10,000 dragons and bringing his entire species to near extinction. Medrick explained. Nearly everyone's eyes widen in shock and horror. His entire race. Hinata stammered out in fear. He nearly wiped them all out. Tsunade exclaimed. That bastard is as bad as Itachi, Naruto growled. Oh, and that's not the worst of it. His most infamous action was when he destroyed all life in an entire country. If everyone was shocked and horrified before then, now they were all completely ghostly pale with their pupils the size of a tiny dot. All life? Naruto exclaimed first. In an entire country? Everyone else exclaimed. Medrick nodded. Yup. And I mean everything. Humans, animals, and plant life. The country was so badly devastated that to this day it can't sustain life. And that the most insane part. Acnologia did this with one attack and in a single night. Holy shit. The petrified audience said in unison. No, he's worse than that, Naruto, Jiraiya stated. He's worse than the Kyuubi, Naruto muttered. Inside the seal, the Kyuubi grumbled but reluctantly agreed. Well, he could burn a village in a matter of minutes and reduce the world to ash in a couple of days, weeks. Acnologia seems to be able to do it at a much faster pace. Adding a dragon's ability to devour elements, that makes him a foe that will not fall easily. These were all just a few of the names that he acquired in the 400 years he's been alive. But his human name? He hadn't used that in a very long time. What was it again? Ruto. Nato. Menma. Naruto. That was his name. Naruto Uzumaki, future Hokage of Konoha, believe it. He chuckles in amusement as he remembers his old catchphrase. For several minutes everyone was deathly quiet as they stared at the projection with mouths on the floor with wide eyes as their minds had frozen, unable to process what they heard. Eh? Naruto got out. That seemed to restart everyone's brains as they reacted to the new revelation they saw. Nanny? Everyone shouted in shock at the projection. Hell, even the Kyuubi was completely shocked and caught off guard by this new revelation. What the fuck? Anko exclaimed. And then Naruto is Acnologia. Sakura stuttered out. TT, that can't be true. Hinata exclaimed in denial. What the fuck happened to me? Naruto shouted in shock, horror, and anger. Everyone shut up. Tsunade roared as everyone clamped their mouths shut as they turned to their Hokage. Tsunade sighed. Look, I know that was shocking, trust me, I get it. But we won't get anywhere unless we keep watching. Everyone stayed silent before finally nodding. Tsunade turned back to their host. Good. Medrick, you may continue. That was what he used to scream at everyone. It was his idea that if he became the Hokage, then everyone will begin to look up to him. It was only when he was imprisoned that he realized how foolish that dream was. They would never accept him no matter what he did for them. They would always see him as a demon. A monster. Which was really ironic, considering what he was now. Naruto flinched at his Acnologia's thought. He always believed that by being Hokage then everyone would look up to him. That he would be recognized. That he would be admired. He would be loved. He would finally be able to experience love and people would love him. But hearing those words from himself or rather his other self and began to question his goal. Plus, needing to become the strongest to get everyone to see and accept you was a foolish goal. People either saw the real you from the very beginning or they saw what they wanted to see. Naruto flinched again at Acnologia's words. Was he right? Was it pointless to try and get everyone to accept him? Will the villagers always see him as the fox, no matter what he did to prove them otherwise? Was it all meaningless? Naruto? Jiraiya asked, but Naruto stayed quiet. Is he right? Have I been wasting my time for nothing? Naruto, Tsunade said with still no response. The two sat in an audience look on in concern at the normally loud blonde as he stared at the projection quietly. Sadly only one person saw him for what he truly was. A sad little boy that wanted to be accepted, to be loved. The one girl that did this for him, but he never noticed, or was it that he couldn't accept her? She was the only one to try and visit him in prison for comfort and not to scorn him. It was when she confessed her love to him that he felt truly happy in a very long time and at peace at his impending doom. They made a promise to one another on that day that they swore to honor for the rest of their lives. Despite the mood, Ino couldn't help but smirk. Oh. I sense a love story behind this. Could I wonder who the other Naruto is talking about? Sadly Naruto or Acnologia now had long forgotten that promise after everything he went through in his second life. He wondered how the girl's life was and if she was strong like she promised she would become. Part of him wishes he could see her again, but he had no way of going back to his old world on his own. I wonder how did this Naruto end up in Earthland? Jiraiya asked. More importantly, what happened to the rest of us? Tsunade replied. Where the hell was her other self to let Naruto turn into this? Perhaps one of the dragons would help him. However, he rid himself of that idea as quickly as it came. None of the dragons, nor any of their allies, would help him with anything he asked of them. Especially after the slaughter he caused 400 years ago. He won't deny that part of him enjoyed the death and destruction he caused, but not all of it was his fault. Naruto blinked. So he does regret some things he has done? He asked in a hopeful tone. Maybe this version of him still has some semblance of his humanity. Yes, there's a lot more to what happened that we don't know about. Hopefully, when we hear his side we get a clearer picture of what happened to this Naruto. Jiraiya explained. Naruto frowned but nodded as he knew his sensei was right. I guess. However, it was pointless to argue who's to blame and regret. He did wonder though why none of the elders or the deities of the dragon race have done anything to stop him. Perhaps going to them, he may get an answer. However, before he could allow himself to ponder any further, a flash of light appears before him, blinding his line of sight. He growls at whoever is foolish enough to surprise him. Who dares come before Acnologia, the Dragon King? Acnologia got no answer as the light got brighter before it envelops his entire form. I hope whoever did this knows what they're doing, Lee said. Let's hope we don't see someone get torn apart or vaporized by Acnologia, Niji replied with everyone else grimacing at the possibility of that occurring. When Acnologia finally regains his sight, he sees nothing but an endless, white void around him. He growls in annoyance. Who has called me here? Show yourself, you coward. Who the hell are you? You look like an overgrown lizard. Roared a voice behind him. Tsunade, Jiraiya and Kakashi froze as they recognized the voice. A voice they had not heard in over a decade. Jiraiya. That sounds like Tsunade began with a stutter. An equally shell-shocked Jiraiya nodded. I know him. But it can't be. It can't be. He repeated. Kakashi was shaking in his seat. How? She's supposed to be dead. The other Jonin were looking confused at the other three's reaction. Just who did that voice belong to? He looks behind and is shocked at who was yelling at him. The first person was a woman with a slender and feminine build. She stood at 5'4". She had blood, red hair that went down to her ankles with 2 shoulder-length bangs on each side of her face. There was one black hair clip on the left side of her head. She had violet eyes and a light skin complexion. She was wearing a high-collar white blouse under a loose-fitting green dress. She looked rather annoyed. Everyone stared at the woman before them. She was quite stunning if the blushes on most the guys' faces were anything to go by. "Who is that?" Anko asked as she felt like she knew this woman but couldn't put her finger on it. "Don't know but she's beautiful," Asuma said out loud, which led to him getting smacked on the back of his head, courtesy of Kurenai. "Yeah, she is," Naruto said absent-mindedly. This comment caused every genin to stare at him in surprise. Naruto normally never complimented a person on their looks, especially a girl. Sakura is usually the only girl he ever compliments. So to hear him compliment a stranger was shocking to everyone. Hinata and Sakura were especially surprised as they frowned for different reasons. Hinata seeing Naruto actually paying attention to another female. While Sakura's reason was that Naruto was paying attention to someone that was not her. Naruto, meanwhile, didn't even notice the stares directed toward him. "It really is her," a stunned Tsunade said as he gazed at the projection with wide eyes. "Kushina," Kakashi and Jiraiya said in unison. Naruto's ears perked as he heard the name of the woman in front of him. "Kushina," he muttered. He felt such warmth for saying the name, but he had no idea why. He was so focused on the feeling, he missed the growls coming from his tenant. The other was a tall tan man that stood at 5'9", he had spiky blonde hair. His eyes were a deep shade of blue. He wore a long-sleeved blue sweatshirt with 2 red swirls on the sides of his arm. On top of that, he wore a light green vest with 6 pockets on the front. The most noticeable attire he had on was the white short-sleeved cloak with the fire patterns at the bottom. The man was trying to calm the woman down. Everyone in the room froze as they recognized the man before them. How could they not? His face was on the Hokage monument. Kakashi lifted his headband to reveal his Sharingan to make sure he was not seeing things. "Aye, is that?" Anko began. "There's no way," Kiba said. "But it is," Niji replied. "Sensei." An emotional Kakashi muttered. Jiraiya's eyes became misty. "Minato." The Toad Sannin said softly as he looked nostalgically at his dead student. "Yondaime Hokage," Naruto said as he looked on with mixed emotions. For years he had looked up to the Yondaime Hokage. He was his hero. The man he wanted to surpass, not only as a ninja, but as a Hokage as well. But after finding out that he was the same man that sealed the Kyuubi into him, that admiration had dimmed down a bit. He still respected the man's ability and accomplishments, but there was a part of the young blonde that hated him for sealing the Kyuubi into him. The one question that was the center of this hatred and bitterness was why. Why did the Yondaime pick him of all people to hold the Kyuubi? What made him different from all the other infants he could have chosen? The third shocked him the most and who he paid the most attention to. She was standing at 5'4". She wore a light lavender, sleeveless kimono-style blouse that was tied with a violet obi around her waist. She had short dark navy pants with thigh-high stockings, along with black high-heel boots. Her hair was a dark blue with a Haim cut at the front while reaching past her waist. She had 2 bangs that reached her chin. The most noticeable thing was her eyes, they were pupilless and had a hint of lavender in them. Naruto blinked in confusion. "Hyuga. Is she from your clan, Hinata?" "Niji?" he asked as he turned to the 2 aforementioned teens. Niji shrugged. "If she is, then she is not a member I recognize." Hinata tapped her index fingers. She looks familiar." "Wait," Kurenai said with narrowed eyes before they widened in shock. "Is that Hinata?" she exclaimed in shock. Her proclamation caused everyone to look at the girl again before their eyes widened in recognition as well. "Holy shit. It is Hinata." Kiba exclaimed in shock. Naruto was speechless. That beautiful woman was Hinata. That's what Hinata will look like when she grows up. "Wow. Hinata, you look amazing." Hinata blushed a deep crimson hearing the praise her crush was giving her future self. The last occupant was a giant orange fox with 9 tails. His eyes never losing track of the dragon in front of him. Literally, everyone froze at the sight before them. For the Jonin, it was like being transported 12 years back into the past. On the night that none of them forget. The genin were completely frozen in shock as they recognized the beast very easily. "Huh?" Naruto exclaimed in shock. "What the hell?" everyone else shouted. "How is the Kyuubi alive? I thought the Yondaime killed it." Kiba exclaimed in shock. Naruto flinched at Kiba's remark. He was starting to get worried as with the Kyuubi revealed, his connection to it as its jailer may also be revealed. This made Naruto nervous as he had no idea how the others would react. Would they accept him or would they hate him as the villagers do? The thought of losing his friends caused a pit to form in his stomach. A sudden clap got Naruto's and the rest of the others' attention. Everyone turned to see Medrick's frown. "You will come to understand soon enough. For now, keep watching." That did nothing to ease Naruto's anxiety as he gulped it down to watch the projections. Acnologia could not believe what he was seeing. Before him were Kushina Uzumaki, Minato Namikaze, Hinata Hyuga, and the Kyuubi or Kurama as he told him before he died. The Black Dragon thought someone was playing some sick joke on him. Well, he was not in the mood for mind games. He opens his wings out and begins to release his magical power in his rage, which puts everyone on guard. Naruto blinked. Kurama. The Kyuubi has a name? He asked as he heard the Kyuubi growled. A name you are unworthy of saying or knowing, Ninjin. Screw you, Fox. Medrick nodded. Yes. The fox does have a name. Alright, you had your fun. Now show yourself you damn cowards. I am in no mood for your trickery, now reveal yourselves. Hey, I was talking to you, you overgrown garden lizard. Listen to me when I am talking to you Tebane. Kushina screamed. Tebane. Naruto repeated. Are you related to her Naruto? I don't know, he said in an unsure tone. Meanwhile, Jiraiya, Tsunade and Kakashi were looking at each other in concern. It was still too soon for Naruto to know about his heritage. This is not going to end well, Jiraiya said in a worried tone. Nope. It won't. At all. Tsunade replied. Acnologia turns to look at Kushina with an annoyed scowl appearing on his face before pointing one of his claws at her. I have nothing to say to you woman. Go take your blonde idiot of a husband and go fuck each other's brains out till you die. Since that is all you two can do right. Fucking and dropping dead. Everyone flinched at Acnologia's remark, though several people blushed at Acnologia's blunt words. Damn, that was harsh. You know you are harsh if Anko was the one saying it. Naruto looked at his other self in confusion. I wonder what's his problem with those two. Jiraiya, Tsunade and Kakashi narrowed their eyes at the alternative Naruto. They wondered if he knew who these two people were to him. And if he did, why was he being so cold towards them? Surely he can't hate them for what happened to them. They know his life couldn't have been easy, but surely it couldn't have been that bad, right? Medrick shook his head as he heard the mental thoughts of the two Sannin and Jonin. They were in for a very rude awakening, he thought grimly. Minato's and Hinata's jaws dropped at the insult, while Kurama was doing his best to bite back the laughter that was going to erupt. That all stopped when they all felt a dark aura and turned to see that Kushina was not amused at all. In fact, she was pissed off in every sense of the word. Her hair was split into 9 tails and her face and eyes were red like her hair. She was out for blood and bloody hell she will get it spilled. You bastard. Let's see if you can insult me after I have you caged down. She screamed at him. Ah. Everyone said in shock. Eyed everyone, the red hot habanero has returned. Kakashi comically shouted. Suddenly several golden chains erupted from her body heading straight for him. Knowing exactly what those chains can do, Acnologia takes to the air and begins evading them as much as possible to not get captured. Your chains may be able to capture a Biju, but let me make some things clear. I am no lizard, I am a dragon. Second, I am no Biju, so those chains are nothing more than a nuisance to me. He roared at her. Wow. Is that true? Naruto shouted in shock and amazement. He could hear the Kyuubi grumbling in his head but saved that for later. Medrick nodded. Yes. The adamantine chains are a special Kekkei Genkai of the Uzumaki clan. Only select members of the clan have the potential to unlock this ability, but with them not only can these members have an incredibly versatile weapon, but as stated even a Biju can be restrained by them and not be able to escape them. Naruto and the other genin looked completely amazed at the versatility of the chains, but were also surprised to hear that an Uzumaki clan existed. There is an Uzumaki clan? Naruto asked. He always wondered if he had a family since he was a child. So to hear that he had a clan, it was shocking, but made him hopeful that maybe he has some family out there. Before Tsunade or Jiraiya could say or do anything, Medrick nodded. Yes Naruto. There is, or to be more precise, there was an Uzumaki clan. I will explain the details later, but you are one of the last surviving members. The few live clan members are scattered throughout the elemental nations. So I have family out there? Naruto asked in a hopeful tone. Yes you do, but you won't learn about them until a bit later. Naruto frowned but nodded, knowing he'll get his answers eventually. Jiraiya and Tsunade looked at one another in concern. Kushina got even more annoyed, but before she could retort, however, a massive chakra pulse causes Kushina and Acnologia to pause as they both turned to see Hinata glaring at both of them with great intensity, with her Byakugan activated. Oh shit. Looks like a certain Hyuga is pissed. Anko teased. Hinata blushed a deep red. Yep. Kurenai flicked Anko's head. Anko, that's enough. Anko pouted. Aw. You're no fun Nai-chan. Both of you, that's enough. We are in the middle of nowhere and what do the two of you do? Acting like two children having a temper tantrum. Kushina, I know you're mad at his insults, I get that, but you need to let this go. For all we know he could be equal to if not greater than Kurama. That's debatable, Hinata, Kurama growled. Hinata turned to glare back at Kurama in annoyance. Whatever. We need to calm down and think this through. Can we all please do that? she urged everyone. Everyone just stared at the screen in utter shock and amazement, with a certain shy Hyuga blushing in embarrassment and amazement. Hell, the Kyuubi was rubbing his eyes and ears to make sure he was not seeing or hearing things. Did she just glare at the Kyuubi? Ino said in a shocked tone. I think she did. A stunned Niji replied. Damn. Everyone said in unison, causing the Hyuga to blush. And Hinata, your older self is awesome to Bayo. Naruto said. Hinata's face was becoming quite crimson. Awesome. Was all she could stutter before she fainted. Hinata. What's wrong? Are you sick again? Medrick and several others facepalm at Naruto's nativity stupidity. I'm really glad I get to this to set Naruto straight. Regardless of who he ends up with, Naruto needs to be set clear on several things. Regardless of what other people think. Medrick quickly woke Hinata up so they could continue watching. No one argued with her before she turned to the dragon above them. Dragon-sama, may you please come down to talk? I promise you, we mean no harm. So can we please talk in a civilized manner and find a way out of here? Acnologia looked at the girl in wonder. This was not the same girl he had seen before his execution. Looks like she has kept her promise to me after all. He thought in amusement. Alright Hinata-chan, we will talk. Oh. So Hinata was the promised girl. Anko teased. I can't wait to hear the story behind that, Kurenai said. And did I hear him call her Hinata-chan? Ino cooed as Hinata blushed. Medrick clapped his hands to get everyone's attention. Okay, easy on the teasing. We don't need her constantly fainting and waking up. Ino pouted. Okay, fine. Hinata, feeling a little unnerved by the way she was addressed, nodded. Kushina and Minato were also concerned and a little weary with how familiar this dragon seems to be with them. Dragon-sama, how did you know Hinata-sen's name? Plus how did you know that Kushina and I were married? Minato asked with a calculating gaze. You also knew what a Bijuu was and that Kushina's chains can affect them. How do you know so much about us, since there are no dragons in our dimension world? Kurama demanded in a suspicious tone. Something tells me this won't end well, Tenten said. I think we can all agree with that, Guy replied. Everyone turns their attention to the dragon before them. Said dragon was debating what he should say. He decided to have fun with it for a bit. Sadistic bastard, Naruto grunted. You know, you just called yourself a bastard, right? Kiba asked. Shut it, Kiba. The reason I know so much is that I was once a resident of your world. This surprised everyone since they would have heard something of a black dragon roaming around the elemental nations. How? There were no dragons in our world as far as I know. Are there? Minato asked as Kurama and Hinata shook their heads. Are there? Naruto asked. Jiraiya shrugged. None that we know of. There could be a summoning contract, but we have never heard of it. Maybe I should see if I can find one. Naruto thought. The reason you've never seen me is that I was once a human before I became the form you see before you now. A human you all know very well. That threw them for a loop. He was human before. A human they all knew. But this left the question. What human did Kurama, Hinata, Minato, and Kushina know? The former two were feeling a pit forming in their stomach as they thought longer about what the dragon said. Acnologia looked at the girl and gave her a fanged smile that increased her anxiety tenfold. You changed a lot more than I expected, Hinata Hyuga. You are no longer that shy girl I once knew that could barely utter a complete sentence. I am feeling anxious too, Tenten said with everyone else nodding in agreement. Would this be called flirting? Sakura asked. More like teasing. Ino corrected. Definitely, teasing, Anko confirmed. Hinata took a step back, the pit she was feeling was growing even more. The same could be said for Kurama. It can't be him. Please don't let it be him. Hinata thought. Is this you? Have you become the monster that stands before me? Kurama sadly thought. Naruto blinked. Did he hear concern from the Kyuubi? For him? Shikamaru's eyes narrowed. I thought the Kyuubi was a mass of hatred, anger, and destruction. Jiraiya shook his head with a frown. It is. Remember, this is an alternative world. So that Kyuubi may be different. That's not entirely accurate, Jiraiya, Medrick replied. Everyone looked at the deity with confusion and suspicion, the latter being from Jiraiya, Tsunade, and the other Jonin. What do you mean? The Toad-sanin asked. Later Medrick teased, much to their annoyance. Minato and Kushina were still unsure, but they were also feeling a pit forming for them. What is this feeling of dread that is coming over me? The two think in unison. I don't blame them. Several muttered. Hinata gulped before asking the question that will confirm this fear of hers. How do you know so much about me? How do you know I was so shy before? Acnologia tilted his head to the girl. That's kinda cute. Really, Ino? Shikamaru deadpan. The platinum blonde shrugged her shoulders. What? It's true. I know you because you promised me the day before my execution that you would change and become the strongest kunoichi in your village. It was also when you confessed your undying love for me. Does that ring any bells? Acnologia retorted. It did ring some bells. Hinata took several steps back before covering her mouth. Her eyes wide as tears fell from them. Kurama was looking at Acnologia with both shock and sadness. "And Naruto-kun?" she asked. "And the truth has come out," Anko says dramatically. "Not funny, Anko." Several people retorted. Anko pouted. "You guys are no fun." Minato and Kushina snapped their heads between the girl and the dragon. Hinata, what did you say?" Minato asked. He hoped he heard wrong. His wife was also shaking, hoping this was all a nightmare. Hinata did not turn to them and instead focused on Acnologia. "Are you Naruto-kun?" she asked again. Acnologia simply sighed before looking at her again. "Yes. I am Acnologia, the Dragon King. The Black Dragon of the Apocalypse. But when I was human, a shinobi. I was known as Naruto Uzumaki. The last Jinchuriki of Kurama, the Kyuubi no Yoko." "Jinchuriki?" Shikamaru asked with a frown. "What's that?" Kiba asked. Ichun and Nara turned to the orange-clad ninja. "Naruto, how are you connected to the Kyuubi?" Naruto flinched at the question. "That will be explained after this," Medrick replied. "Wait. You can't," Jiraiya began, but Medrick's glare caused him and everyone else to freeze. "I can. And I will, Jiraiya. They will learn the truth today. Many secrets will come out of these recordings. I will ensure that," Medrick promised. Jiraiya gritted his teeth. "At what cost?" "To test the bonds of your genin. If they are his friends, they will accept him no matter what. And if they don't?" Tsunade and Jiraiya exploded as they glared at Medrick. The deity simply shrugged his shoulders. "Then they were never his friends, to begin with." As Acnologia said before. "It's pointless to prove the majority wrong if a small group sees your true worth. The rest can burn for all he should care." Everyone flinched at how callously Medrick sounded, while the Jonin and Sannin glared at him. "That's not what," Jiraiya began but was stopped as Medrick raised his hand. "What? That's not what Minato would have wanted. Sadly, we don't always get what we want. Now sit, Jiraiya. You as well, Tsunade. Kakashi." The three glared at Medrick for several more seconds before finally relenting and sitting down as they turned their attention back to the recording. The occupants just looked at him in shock, sorrow, and horror. The latter being Minato and Kushina. Hinata took several steps before she was in front of him. She slowly puts her hand on his snout and gently rubs it. "Aw, that's kinda cute. A girl and her dragon boyfriend," Anko teased. Hinata's face was going atomic as steam blew out of her head and ears. "BBB boyfriend." Anko shrugged. "Well yeah. It's kinda obvious that you were the girl Acnologia was talking about. And from the sounds of it, he reciprocates your feelings. Congrats." "Wait. Does that mean that the other Hinata like me?" Naruto shouted. "Oh, boy. I am going to have my work cut out with him," Medrick thought. "Naruto-kun," she said quietly. Acnologia would never say it, but he was enjoying the girl's soft hands on him. They were so warm and comforting. It reminded him of Anna and the others. "I wonder who this Anna person is." Perhaps Acnologia acquired a legion of women to adore him as he did with Hinata and has them to his beck and call. Jiraiya said with a perverted giggle. "Wham. Perverted baka." An annoyed swan shouted. Medrick was suppressing to laugh out loud. "Oh, I can't wait until we get to Anna and Irene. They are going to freak out." He decided to play nice with her. Acnologia's body began glowing brightly, which made Hinata pause and take a step back. Everyone was shocked as he continued to shrink and his features changed until they became more human. He continued to shrink until he was about the same height as Hinata, if not slightly taller. When the light died down, the sight before them shocked them for a new loop. Where Acnologia once stood now was a man with a well-defined face and a chiseled chest littered with several scars around his torso and arms. His only form of clothing were black baggy pants and a black cloak. He had a necklace of fangs around his neck. He had spiky blonde hair like Minato's. He had slitted eyes with the deepest shade of blue that anyone had seen. The most striking feature was the 3 whisker marks on each of his cheeks. It was Naruto Uzumaki. A much older Naruto Uzumaki. "Whoa." Everyone said as many of the females gained a healthy blush with Hinata having a bloody nose. "Amgaki. You're kinda hot," Anko said without shame. Naruto blushed in embarrassment. "Anko?" Kurenai chided. Anko shrugged. "What, you know it's true. I saw that blush, Nai-chan. Especially on the girls and Shizune." "Yep." Hinata shrieked with the other girls blushing in embarrassment. "Enough, Anko," Tsunade ordered, which caused Anko to pout but relented to the command. Jiraiya sniffed as he cried tears of joy. "Oh, the boy is getting a harem. I am so proud, Gaki." "Shut it, Hiro Sennin." A cheery red Naruto shouted in embarrassment. The man looked at the girl in front of him before slowing putting a hand on her cheek. This startled the girl before she allowed the warmth of his hand to fill her. "I have missed you, Hinata," he said softly. Tears began to fill her eyes, and Hinata soon began to cry before enveloping him in a hug. This shocked him before he reluctantly but slowly returned the hug. Naruto blinked at the reaction. Wow. He must have had a shitty time if a hug surprises him. What did you go through in this world, Naruto? Everyone else thought as they were concerned by the alternative Naruto's reaction to the alternative Hinata's embrace. Naruto-kun sob, Naruto-kun sob. You're back. Sob, I thought, sob, I would never see you again. Sob, I missed you so much. Naruto simply hugged the girl and let her vent it all out. He wanted to enjoy this reunion. Because for the first time in a long time he was content and happy. Medrick sighed as he paused a projection before the next recording could start. Now then, it's time you guys get some answers. Everyone turned their attention to the deity in the room, some with anxiety, others with fear, and a select few with anger. Now then, this story begins around 13 years ago. When the Kyuubi appeared in the middle of your village. Hello everyone. Hope you enjoyed the chapter. I will try to get the next update as soon as possible, but I cannot make any promises on when it will occur. Now then, the next chapter the group will learn the truth about the Kyuubi attack and Naruto will learn about his heritage. I am pretty sure everyone can understand that there was no way that secret was going to stay quiet for long, especially considering the first 2 chapters of RDK reveal them. So there's gonna be a lot of drama and anger and horror in the next chapter. I hope you're all up for it. World 1. RDK, Part 2. Now then, you have been led to believe that the Kyuubi suddenly appeared on the night of October 10. No one knew why it came, but it brought devastation and death to your village. That was until the Yondaime Hokage appeared and found a way to defeat and kill the demon fox, but at the cost of his own life. That is the story that you all know, right? Medrick asked at the end of his explanation. All of the rookies, except Naruto, nodded as that was the story they were told in the academy and by their families. The Jonin and Sannin all look at one another in concern, as they were unsure how the Genin and Chunin would take the truth of that night. Naruto gritted his teeth as he heard Kurama's dark chuckles. I wonder how they take the truth, Ninjin. Let's see how many friends you have left after this. Be quiet. Naruto roared back mentally, but all he got in response was his tenant chuckling even more in dark amusement. Medrick sighed as he knew this was gonna be the start of a very long talk and possible tangent, but this needed to be said. However, this story that you have been told all your lives is a lie. Medrick emphasized. The rookies' eyes widened as for the most part. They knew something was off with what they were told and when they saw the Kyuubi in the projection. Shikamaru's eyes narrowed as there seems to be a major cover-up on the events of the Kyuubi attack. Jiraiya's and Tsunade's reaction proved that much. However, he also noticed that the other Jonin were rather tense. Meaning they were in on the conspiracy. The big question in his and nearly every other Genin's mind. Where did Naruto fit in all of this? Now then, I would like that you do not interrupt me until I have said everything I have to say. Are we understood? Medrick asked in a serious tone. He preferred to get through this without too many interruptions. And he expected to get some interruptions, but he preferred if they were kept to a minimum. Everyone nodded. The watcher smiled. Good. Now 13 years ago, Kushina was going to labor to give birth to her son, while her husband, the Yondaime, tried to maintain the seal of the Kyuubi intact. Medrick raised his hand as he already expected reactions to that tidbit. The reason that Kushina had the Kyuubi sealed inside of her was that she was the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi. He saw their confused looks and elaborated. Jinchuriki are people who have one of the 9 Bijuu sealed within them. They are the village's ultimate weapons and used to keep the others at bay. However, the Jinchuriki are usually mistreated and have a rather depressing childhood as they are despised by their villages and seen as the Bijuu itself and not their vessels. This can lead to the Jinchuriki being rather unstable. Even if the Jinchuriki were to die, the Bijuu will eventually reform as they are constructs of sentient chakra. Most of the Genin's eyes widen in shock and horror. The idea of being forced to live with a Bijuu with your entire village hating you for all your life. Who could handle such a harsh burden as carrying a Bijuu? Shikamaru's, Niji's, and Shino's narrowed as they quickly began to piece the truth in their heads. Naruto flinched from Medrick's harsh but truthful words about the life of a Jinchuriki. However, he thought of how similar he looked to the Yondaime Hokage and Kushina. She was the Jinchuriki before him and she even had a similar verbal tick to him. A pit began to form in his stomach at where his train of thought was taking him, but he had to immediately stomp it down as he couldn't accept what those thoughts entailed. Inside the seal, Kurama had to chuckle in dark amusement. It seems that his vessel was figuring out the truth, but he refuses to accept it. Oh well, once the deity reveals it, he wonders how he would take it. He'll just have to sit and watch for now. And they said that the boy was a dope. Kurama thought cynically. Truly humans were very blind. The truth of the matter is that you have all met a Jinchuriki before. But when? Kiba demanded. How could any of them have missed a Jinchuriki running around? Remember Gaara? He was the Jinchuriki to Shukaku, the one-tailed Sand Tanuki. Everyone paled as they damn well remembered the Ginger Sand Shinobi. Hinata, Kiba, and Shino shivered as they remembered his brutality not only to the three Rain Ninja, but also what he did to Lee. The reason he was so unstable was due to all the attempts at his life when he was younger and the fact that his seal was faulty, which allowed Shukaku to influence him more and cause him to be even more unstable and be incapable of going to sleep. If he ever did, then Shukaku would be able to take control. All of the Genin Chunin, except Naruto, paled, as the thought of ever facing a Biju, regardless of their numbers, was downright terrifying. Lee was thanking every deity he could think of that he did not have to face the Biju when he faced Gaara. The only one that was calm was Naruto, as he already knew this from Gaara, and he fought the damn Biju. If it wasn't for the Chief Toad and the Kyuubi's chakra, as much as he hates to admit it, he would be dead. The Jonin and Sannin stayed silent as they were well aware of all these facts. Though most of them did not know the truth about Gaara until after the invasion, which made them all thankful that Gaara never lost control inside of the village during the invasion. That would have been a disaster. They knew that Naruto was the one to stop Gaara, but they decided to keep quiet on the incident unless it was brought up in the projections. Medrick sighed as he spoke again. Back on track, Kushina gave birth to a healthy baby boy. It was a time of celebration, but it was sadly cut short. Everyone felt a chill go down their spines. A masked man attacked and held the newborn hostage. Minato was able to save the child, but Kushina was abducted. The masked man would later use his Sharingan, cue gasps of surprise and outrage, to take control of Kurama and rip him out of Kushina. Medrick sighed. Though Kushina miraculously managed to survive, which is an impressive feat in itself, he explained in an impressed proud tone. The rookies looked at their host in confusion. Why is that? Naruto asked. Medrick shrugged. Simply because when one has their Biju ripped out, they die. He bluntly stated. All of the teens went pale white. What? All of them shouted in shock horror. Medrick nodded. Having your Biju ripped out is a death sentence. No one has ever survived a forced extraction before this. Everyone turned to the Jonin and Sannin as they all nodded in unison. He's not lying. In all the times that a Biju has been forcibly extracted, death has followed. Jiraiya explained. Medrick took over. So you can imagine the strength that Kushina had to endure childbirth and a forced Biju extraction and still be alive after all that. All of the Kunoichis felt their respect for Kushina rise. The masked Uchiha tried to kill Kushina with a fox, but Minato managed to save her at the last minute and take her to be with their child. While this occurred, the masked man unleashed the fox onto the village of Konoha. The Genin and Chunin stood silently as they ingested what they just heard. Everything they had been told all their lives about the Kyuubi and the Yondaime had been fabricated through the use of lies and half-truths. Kyuubi had been in Konoha for more than a decade, the irony being he has been there longer. So that's what really happened? Niji asked. Medrick nodded. Yes, that's what happened. The Kyuubi was being controlled. He never wanted to attack the village. Naruto said aloud. A few of the Jonin and Sannin wanted to say something, but decided best to keep quiet. I would still burn your village for imprisoning me for several decades and using me like some tool for you ninjas fucking wars. Naruto flinched, and while part of him wanted to shout at the fox, a part of him couldn't help but agree with the fox's words. No one would like being caged up and being told what to do by the jailer. Treating the tenant like a slave. Just like what he had done for Kyuubi. How many times has the fox helped him when he was in dire situations? And he never showed the fox any gratitude. Sure, the Kyuubi was always threatening to kill him and or take over his body, but all Naruto did was scream at him and treat him like an annoyance. Like a monster. Just like the village did to him. Naruto frowned at his thoughts. He wondered if this is how all the Biju felt. Did they feel resentment for the Jinchuriki and the world just like their jailers cursed them for the lives they were forced to live? Naruto was cut from his musing when Medrick resumed talking. Minato would later fight the masked Uchiha and free the fox from his control. However, the Kyuubi was still rather enraged and continued his onslaught in the village. That was until Minato appeared and teleported the fox out of the village and near his home. Kushina quickly bound the fox in her chakra chains. Medrick sighed, knowing the bomb he was going to drop would be explosive. The Yondaime knew they had to seal the fox again, but Kushina was in no condition to have the fox resealed into her. So the two made the heavy choice of sealing it into their son. That son was Naruto. All of the rookies gasped as their jaws dropped to the floor. The Jonin were no different as they all looked like gaping fish. Jiraiya, Tsunade, Kakashi clenched their jaws as the secret was out. But they all had the same train of thought. How would Naruto react? Naruto's reaction was a lot more vocal than the rest. No. That's a lie. Naruto shouted. Everyone was brought back to reality as turned to Naruto, but flinched at what they saw. His eyes were a deep blood red with slits. His teeth and nails had grown sharp. His whisker marks had become more defined and feral looking. The most noticeable change. The tear tracks coming down his cheeks. It can't be true. He can't be father. You're lying. Naruto shouted to the deity as everyone else flinched at the volume of Naruto's voice and the sorrow laced within the shout. Medrick looked sympathetically to the blonde. It's not a lie. He calmly replied. Yes, it is. There's no way that the man who is loved by everyone in my village is my father. The single most hated person in Konoha. Naruto, enough. Medrick roared as he silenced the blonde and his audience into quiet shock. He sighed as he rose from his chair. He knew this was the reaction he would get. But he couldn't let Naruto go off the rails right now. He needed to get him and the audience to focus because it will only get tougher after this. Especially when he finds out what happened to RDK Naruto and the sins he had committed. He walked over and kneed in front of Naruto as he placed both of his hands on his shoulder. I am not lying to you, Naruto. Medrick calmly began. You know I am telling you the truth. You should have noticed the resemblance you had between yourself with Minato and Kushina. More importantly, I know you were beginning to reach that conclusion, but you denied it. Naruto shook his head as he couldn't believe what he was hearing. I know this is hard, but you must accept this. You're Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. Son of the Yondaime Hokage, Minato Namikaze, and Kushina Uzumaki and the third Jinchuriki of Kurama the Kyuubi no Yoko. Naruto just looked on in shock with the rest of the genin in a similar position. However, one frowned as his face was covered in shadow. Asuma-sensei. The Chunin spoke. Asuma twitched as he heard his student calling him Shikamaru. Did all of you know that Naruto was the son of the Yondaime and the Kyuubi Jinchuriki? The other jonin looked at one another in concern before Asuma addressed his student again. We all knew that he was the Kyuubi Jinchuriki, but not about him being the Yondaime's son. Silence enveloped the room for a solid minute as the other genin had their heads down as well. Before Shikamaru spoke again. Tell me this, how did the village learn he was a Jinchuriki? Again the jonin were getting very concerned with their student's reaction, but Asuma pressed on and answered. Someone had leaked that information and my dad was forced to confirm it. He hoped that the people would see Naruto as a hero, but that was sadly not what happened. The people wanted him executed on the spot, but the Sandaime warned that anyone that tries would be executed and made it an S-rank law that no one could indulge in that Naruto was the Jinchuriki. However, while they couldn't kill him, they told all of their families and friends to ignore, shun, and hate Naruto. The genin turned to the jonin and they all had to stop themselves from flinching. The genin did not say anything, but their faces told 1,000 words a second. They were in disbelief, betrayed, hurt, ashamed, and angered. They were furious at the jonin and sanin. They knew that they and the majority of the Leaf Village had lost a great deal of respect from their students and it will be some time before they ever regain it again. You knew, Naruto spoke quietly but loud enough for everyone else to hear. What? A few of them asked. You three knew who my parents were, right? Kakashi. Jiraiya. Tsunade. Naruto asked with an undertone growl. Jiraiya and Tsunade looked at one another. Both knew they could not deny this or Naruto will never trust anything they say ever again. Yes. The two said in unison. And you said nothing to me. Naruto literally screamed at the end as several people flinched. Naruto Jiraiya began as Naruto whirled to glare at the two of them as he covered in a crimson-orange chakra aura as his features went feral again. Only there were no tears. Just pure anger and it scared all the genin chunin in the audience. Naruto nothing. He roared. I had a right to know about my parents. Do you have any idea what it's like to constantly think that your parents abandoned you? That they saw you as nothing more than a monster? Naruto, we couldn't risk that. Your parents had too many enemies. You would. Tsunade began to protest, but Naruto cut him off. Don't give me that bullshit. When I found out about the Kyuubi, I never opened my mouth. You bastards did it out of convenience. Look Naruto, I know you're angry, but we were going to tell you eventually, Jiraiya replied in a diplomatic tone. Is that so? Medrick asked as the two Sannin and Kakashi glared at him. Yes, we would have. Medrick raised an eyebrow at them, though his mask made it difficult to see. Really? When exactly would you have told him? When he would return from the training trip you planned? When he turned 17? 18? 21? When he was made Chunin or Jonin? When he was married? Or when he was old and dying? When we thought he was ready, Jiraiya replied as Medrick rose to his feet as his eyes glowed red as a dark aura covered his entire body, scaring everyone in the room, even Naruto in his rage-filled state shivered as the sight. Medrick growled as that was the same thing said in numerous worlds in the multiverse and the canon verse as well. And this pissed Medrick more because he was tired of hearing that bullshit excuse. And who the hell do you think you are to deny a child something that he has been begging to know since he could speak and understand words? You had no right to deny him that knowledge. You are a disappointment to Minato's and Kushina's memory. Especially you, Tsunade. Not to mention that Hashirama and Mito Uzumaki would be ashamed to even be related to you. Tsunade's entire body went rigid until her brain processed what Medrick just said. She glared hotly at the deity. How dare you? She roared as she lunged at Medrick with her fist cocked back as she channeled the appendage with chakra and launched her fist. Boom. However, all that happened was Medrick catching the fist with his finger. She looked shocked before she glared in anger at the deity. Don't you dare bring my grandparents into this. Medrick snapped his fingers as Tsunade was teleported back to her chair. I can and will bring it up if it means cracking that thick skull of yours, Tsunade. Especially considering your grandmother was also the Jinchuriki to the Kyuubi. What? Several people exclaimed. Tsunade's grandmother was also the Jinchuriki to the fox. Naruto shouted in shock as his features had returned to normal. Medrick nodded. Yes. Mito Uzumaki was the first Jinchuriki to the Kyuubi. Kushina was the second and Naruto is the third and current one. Naruto looked shocked before he turned and glared at Tsunade. And did you plan to tell me that or the fact that we are from the same clan? Better yet, why the hell was the Uzumaki clan never mentioned in any of the lectures in the academy? He demanded. The rookies frowned at Naruto's words. Why weren't they ever told of the Uzumaki? All of their clans were mentioned in their history classes, especially the Uchiha and the Senju clans. So why was the Uzumaki clan never mentioned? The Sandaime felt it was best to keep that information off the records until he decided Naruto was ready to learn about it, Jiraiya replied. And now he ends up dead and keeping his secrets to his grave. How convenient. Medrick scoffed, which earned him glares from the Sannin and Jonin. Don't you dare insult the Sandaime. They shouted in unison. They turned to their students for support but were shocked to see them all silent. Had they become so distrustful of them and the Sandaime? None of the rookies were sure what to say as what Medrick said was true. It felt convenient that he said nothing to Naruto before he died. You keep on saying that Naruto was too immature or his parents had too many enemies. Those are the excuses you kept giving. Convenient excuses. He raised one finger. One Naruto has been alone for nearly all his life and raised himself, of course, he won't be like the others in terms of maturity. And considering the shit he had to live with, he ended as best as could be expected. He raises another finger. 2. You keep saying enemies on the outside, but you have forgotten that Kushina and Minato had enemies inside the village as well. Medrick glared at the two Sannin, and 3. You did it because you and the Sandaime were afraid of him. No, we weren't. The Sannin and Kakashi exclaimed in unison. Yes, you were. Medrick exclaimed back. You were scared that when Naruto found out the truth he would go ballistic and destroy the village. That's why you told him nothing and did not want to. You 3 were all scared and decided it was best if he knew nothing. Admit it. The aforementioned ninja stayed silent as they glared at the deity with everyone else watching on in silence. The other Jonin were unsure what to think as they understood why they did it, but many couldn't help but agree with Medrick's words that it seemed they just didn't want to risk losing him. The Gen and Chunin were more angered and disgusted by what they were hearing. It was just like Medrick said. All they were hearing were excuses and not legitimate reasons for not telling Naruto everything. Especially since he was told about the fox, but kept it a secret until now. The respect they held for these individuals had greatly dimmed down due to these revelations. Naruto was still glaring hatefully at them with eyes filled with hurt and betrayal. Hinata was looking rather emotional as she looked at her crush's state, wishing she could do something to help him. Denton's respect for Tsunade had gone down greatly as the woman she admired kept secrets about one of her friends and refused to admit that she was wrong to do so. Niji was thinking back to what he said to Naruto during their match in the Chunin exams and wanted to punch himself. Naruto understood pain better than anyone here, it was he who did not. Shino was questioning the logic of not telling Naruto anything and thinking that he would be fine without that knowledge. Medrick turned to the members of the Rookie 12. Now then, I have a question for all of the genin. The aforementioned group turned to their host. Now that you know Naruto's dark secret, what do you think of him? Naruto hung his head as he prepared himself to possibly lose all of the friends he's made so far. Nothing, Shikamaru replied. Naruto snapped his head up. What? He asked. Shikamaru continued. Nothing has changed. Naruto is still the same annoying guy we knew. He's our comrade. Nothing more and nothing less. A fox in his gut won't change that. Shino pushed his shades up. That's correct. It would be most illogical to confuse Naruto and a giant construct of chakra even if it lives in his gut. Naruto's flames of youth still burn brightly. Guess who? You're still one of us, Naruto, Ino said. Yeah, the same hyper goofball we all know, Kiba said. Hey. The blonde protested. Naruto. The blonde Jinchuriki turned to his pink-haired teammate. Sakura-chan. We've been through a lot as teammates, so I can say with certainty that you are no demon. You're a teammate and my friend, she said honestly. Naruto's eyes sparkled to hear that from his longtime crush. Naruto-kun. A voice spoke. Naruto turned into his indigo-haired friend. Hinata. Despite being the Kyuubi Jinchuriki and the hatred of the village, you never let that get you down. You faced those hardships head-on and never gave up on your beliefs. That is what I admire most about you, Naruto. It's your indomitable will that no one can take from you. That's what makes you special. Not being the Kyuubi Jinchuriki or the son of the Yondaime. It's your heart. Hinata passionately said. Naruto and the others looked at the shy Hyuga in awe. This was the first time most of them heard her speak so much. For Naruto, this reminded him of his jitters before his match with Neji. He was feeling rather down and unsure that he would win. But Hinata managed to cheer him up and inspire him that he could win this match. And now she found a way to lift his spirits again. Hinata, thank you, he said in a grateful tone. Hinata gave a smile in return. Always, Naruto-kun. Naruto then turned to the rest of the rookies. Thanks, everyone. As they all nodded with smile smirks. Naruto felt a tap on his shoulder and glanced back to see Medrick looking at him. Feeling better, Naruto? Naruto nodded slowly. Somewhat. He began. It's still a lot to process, but now I know the truth. My parents never abandoned me. They really loved me. Everything would have been fine if that bastard did not intervene. Though why did I only get half of the fox? He asked in confusion. Why did his father go through all that trouble to split the fox into 2 parts? Medrick shrugged. Honestly, the only reason you only got half was due to the fact you were just born. If you had been a bit older, you would have gotten the full Kyuubi. Not to mention you would have gotten the fox even if the attack never happened. Naruto's eyes narrowed in suspicion. Why? Simply put, you were the only available Uzumaki. Only someone from your clan can hold the Kyuubi. Not to mention as you developed in your mother's womb, you were exposed to the fox's chakra. That's the reason why you have such high chakra reserves even for Uzumaki standards and why you have those whisker marks. You would have gotten the fox, you just would have been older and had your parents perform the process. Naruto nodded as that made a lot of sense. He always wondered why he had those whisker marks. Medrick clapped his hands as he turned his attention to everyone. Now then everyone, it's time to get back to watching the projections. Everyone blinked. That's right, they were supposed to be watching alternative worlds. Wow, I kinda forgot about them, Naruto said honestly. Me too. Same here. Medrick waved his hands. Yes. Yes. Now everyone get to your seats. Once everyone was back in their seats, Medrick spoke again. Now I want to warn you all that this chapter may reveal some dark information that you all may not like to hear. Everyone got rather nervous at Medrick's tone. What do you mean exactly? Snap. Medrick snapped his fingers as buckets appeared near each ninja. One for each of them. What are these for? Naruto asked. Call it insurance. Naruto, be prepared because you may not like how Acnologia reacts. In fact, you might actually hate it. Medrick warned. Naruto gulped before nodding. Everyone became rather tense as they were unsure what to expect next. Medrick sat down. Now then let us continue. Naruto held on to Hinata for what seemed like hours, but he didn't mind at all. He wanted to let the girl vent out all her pent-up emotions for him. Plus, he enjoyed the warmth coming off of her. It was really intoxicating. Both Hinata and Naruto blushed at Acnologia's thoughts. They had kinda forgotten that their alternative selves were a couple. This made things rather embarrassing. Even worse when they heard all the cooing and chuckles from everyone around them. It was like sitting next to a huge fireplace. It was warm and comforting. It was really an amazing feeling. And her scent. Kami, her scent was something else. It reminded him of lavender mixed with honey. The two were melded together so perfectly that his nose felt like it was in paradise. If Hinata and Naruto were blushing before, now they had gone completely red in the face. Naruto was red due to embarrassment at his other self's words. Hinata was embarrassed, happy that Acnologia hugged his Hinata and wondered if her Naruto would feel similarly someday. Naruto flinched when he felt glares directed towards him. He slowly turned to see Kurenai and Neji glaring down at him coldly. He quickly turned around to look back at the projections. SS scary. Seriously, how more desirable could this girl get for him? She was perfect in every sense of the word. Beautiful inside and out, strong-willed, and without a hint of malice to her unless you're her enemy. She was a goddess, plain and simple. Just like Anna and Irene were his goddesses once upon a time. Returning from his daydreams, he looks down to see that the girl's crying had diminished to soft sobbing, but he can hear her say something, but it was too muffled to understand a word. Literal steam was coming out of Hinata's head. A goddess. Acnologia thinks of his Hinata as a goddess. Naruto was steaming at the idea of Hinata being his goddess. I wonder who Anna and Irene are and what was their relationship with his other self. Oh, Naruto. I didn't think you could be romantic like that, Naruto. Shut up, Ino. Naruto stuttered out. Looking at the other occupants, he sees Kurama watching the scene with an amused expression on his face. Naruto had to fight the urge to roll his eyes. He hadn't changed at all. He was still the same smug, sneaky bastard he remembered. Naruto blinked. Why did the other Kyuubi seem so happy to see Acnologia again? Were they actually friends in that world? Kurama stayed silent in the seal as he watched the projection with interest. He turned to the other two occupants and saw his parents watching the scene in shock. His mother was shaking while covering her mouth with her hands, while his father was just too shocked to say or do anything. So he does know, but it doesn't sound like he's attached to them, Naruto said out loud. Tsunade, Jiraiya and Kakashi looked at one another in concern. He decided he needed to address the other occupants, so he looked down at the girl before cupping her face with his hands and bringing it up so she was looking right at Naruto. The two stared at one another for some time before he spoke. Hinata. Yes, Naruto-kun. She asked softly. All this reunion is heartwarming and very welcomed, we need to figure out how we came here. Hinata nodded. Naruto used his thumbs to wipe the last of the tears in her eyes before walking toward the other three, with Hinata close behind. Naruto walks towards the other occupants at a leisurely pace. Oh. Several of the girls and guys cooed at the scene. Hinata looked very close to fainting. Naruto hid his face in his hands. Someone end this, please. He mentally begged. Sadly no one answered his pleas. Meanwhile, Minato and Kushina were a nervous wreck. They had no idea how they came here. 1 minute they were in the afterlife and then there was a flash of light and they were here in this white void with Hinata and the Kyuubi. They were about to accuse the Kyuubi of being the cause, but Hinata quickly diffused a potential fight that was about to erupt between the two sides as she quickly explained that the Kyuubi had nothing to do with them being teleported here. Then the black dragon suddenly appears and the pair finds out that it's their son. How? How did their son become a dragon? The better question is what happened to him and what's his relationship with Hinata. Not to mention, why did they feel like their son hated them? That left a cold pit in their stomachs at the thought. Just what happened to their son? A lot, apparently, Shikamaru muttered with everyone that heard him nodding in agreement. As the aforementioned boy no man approached, they wondered what he would say or do to them. Will he hug or attack them? However, Naruto did neither of the two. Naruto just walks right past them and not even acknowledging them and continues until he is right below the Kyuubi. Everyone flinched at Acnologia ignoring his parents. Damn, that's cold, Kiba remarked. The two Sannin and Kakashi narrowed their eyes. It's good to see you Kurama. It has been a very long time. Kurama smiles. Yes, I guess for you it has been a long time. For me, it's been 8 to 9 years. Still, I'm glad to see your ugly mug again, kid. Kid. Naruto blinked in confusion. Aren't those baby foxes or something? Shikamaru asked aloud. Kiba nodded in confirmation. Acnologia is close to his Kyuubi, Naruto remarked. HMPH. Kurama stayed silent as he continued to watch. I see death has not changed your smart mouth, you Baka Kitsune. But I still missed you. Kurama snorted. Please, compared to your vixen, our reunion isn't that great. Oh by the way, how did your vixen feel? You got an up-close experience with her assets, how was it? Most of the genin blushed at the Kyuubi's question, while the Jonin and Sannin watched with wide eyes. No one ever expected the Kyuubi of all beings to say something like that. Anko was just grinning ear to ear, while Kurenai looked furious. Hinata was blushing madly at the question that the Kyuubi asked Naruto. Naruto's answer just made it worse. They were soft, warm, and comforting. Overall best feeling I've had in a long time. Hinata was by this point reaching atomic levels of red before covering her face with her hands as steam blew out of her head. Boink. Ow. What the hell Sakura? Naruto exclaimed in annoyance. Sakura glared at him. That's for being a pervert, Naruto. Naruto looked incredulous at her. What the actual fuck? In case you've forgotten that was the other me. Easy Nai-chan, our Naruto had nothing to do with the other one. Not to mention. Those two seemed to be a couple in that world. Anko soothed her longtime friend. He's still a pervert. Kurenai huffed. Kurama snorted before he began laughing like a maniac. His laughter echoing throughout the void. Ahahahaha. Aw man, I really do miss these conversations with your kid. You always made them entertaining. Never a dull moment with you. Naruto smirked, I wouldn't be me if I wasn't unpredictable. Huh. I really am close to the fox in this world. Naruto commented. I can't wait till we get to Neo Yuzu. Oh, that's going to be fun. Medrick thought in amusement. For some reason, both Naruto and Kurama felt a chill go down their spines, but they did not know why. Kurama then shifted to a serious expression before looking at Minato and Kushina, then looking back down at Naruto. Aside from the fun and games, Naruto. I think you have to settle some things and this is as good as time as any. Naruto sighed. He knew he was right. He couldn't avoid this, no matter how much he wanted to. It was time to bury this part of his past for good. He nodded before turning around and walking to the two sources of his past. His parents. I have a bad feeling about this, Naruto said. So do we. Nearly everyone else replied. The same ones that decided it was a smart idea to seal the Kurama in him and leave him with the most irresponsible adults to watch over him and a village that wanted his blood. Blood that they kept trying to take for nearly 13 years. Many times they nearly succeeded, but Kurama healed him from his near-death beatings. What? Everyone shouted in shock and horror. Medrick sighed. Here we go. Naruto, were you beat by the villagers? Tsunade asked slowly while keeping her anger in check. If the villagers think they could get away with beating a child, they would be reminded of who they're messing with. Naruto flinched as he felt the undertone anger coming from Tsunade. No, they never went that far. The worst I ever got was some stuff thrown at me and my house getting vandalized once or twice. It never got that bad. Tsunade and Jiraiya made a mental note to find out who vandalized his home and give them the appropriate punishment. Everyone turned when they saw their host sigh. Sadly, Naruto, your life in the multiverse can be seen as a pendulum. One side represents a good, happy childhood, and the other is the bad one. Sadly, Acnologia is on the near end of the bad spectrum. Medrick explained before giving his audience a grave look. And it will only get worse, he warned. Everyone gulped as turned back as the projection. Then there was also the Sandaime Hokage, who did jack shit when it came to helping him. All he did was send the mobs that hunted him to INT, but they always got out and came right back to hunting him. All because the useless old man could do nothing against the civilian and shinobi councils. The clan heads were also just as useless. Don't even get him started on Kakashi, Jiraiya, and Tsunade. The less said, the better. He stops his train of thought as he was about a meter away from them before standing still. He continues to look at them with the blankest expression any human being or dragon could produce. He almost looked like a statue, which worried Minato and Kushina even more. Kakashi, Jiraiya, Tsunade flinched and wondered how badly did their alternative selves screw up with RDK Naruto. That's an unnerving look to see on Naruto's face, Ino said. I never thought Naruto could ever make a face like that, Choji replied. You won't hear any argument from me, Naruto remarked to the two. Hello, Minato, Kushina. You look healthy for two dead people. The aforementioned duo flinched at the dull, bland tone in their son's voice. Everyone flinched at RDK Naruto's tone. Jiraiya, Tsunade, and Kakashi were getting concerned with the other Naruto's tone towards his parents. Minato gulped before looking at Naruto's blank, cold eyes. Then Naruto, do you know who we are? How would I not know the great Yondaime Hokage? The great slayer of the Kyuubi and the savior of Konoha. Then we have his wife, Kushina Uzumaki Namikaze. You are like gods to the people of Konoha. Why wouldn't I know who you are? Naruto spoke blankly. Naruto, I know what you meant, Yondaime. Naruto cuts him off before he continues. So, you know. But you are the parents that ruined my life and left me for dead in Konoha. Yes, I know exactly who you two are. The two flinched at his cold tone, but they were confused by what he said. Oh, that's not a good sign, Anko said as they could all feel the tension rising. Red flag alert? Naruto asked. I am pretty sure we're at Crimson by now, Ino replied. Definitely Crimson, Shikamaru confirmed. Naruto, what do you mean we ruined your life? I mean, I know having the Kyuubi and you may have been bad, but you had Sarutobi, Kakashi, Jiraiya, who we named as your godfather, and the good people of Konoha to look after you. Minato smiled, wondering what he learned from everyone. Don't forget about Tsunade Tebain, Kushina exclaims. Oh shit. Nearly everyone said aloud. And now this shitstorm is about to begin to pour down, Medrick replied quietly. What? Naruto exclaimed as he turned to Jiraiya in anger. You're my godfather. Jiraiya stayed silent as Medrick decided to answer. Yes, he is. You see, when Minato and Kushina were deciding your name, they chose the name of the main character of the first book that Jiraiya published. Isn't that right, Jiraiya? The Toad Sage glared at the deity before looking back at his student. Yes. Naruto looked even more enraged. You bastard. Where the fuck were you for 12 fucking years? Naruto. That's enough, Tsunade began before Naruto rounded to her and pointed at her with a vicious glare. Stay out of this, Tsunade. This is between him and me. Tsunade was stunned as Naruto never spoke to her like that. Well, I am waiting for an answer. Naruto demanded from his now revealed godfather. Look, I couldn't look after you, alright. I had my spy network to look after, and there was also the Akatsuki and Orochimaru to keep track of. Those are just excuses. I know it's now what you want to hear, but what, Jiraiya? Medrick asked. Jiraiya glared at him. Stay out of this. Medrick tilted his head in confusion. Excuse me? What have I done wrong? I am merely stating the truth and facts. Truths he did not need to learn yet. That was not your decision to make. You abandoned me. Naruto roared. Jiraiya flinched at Naruto's accusation. That's not true. I provided for you. Who do you think paid for all your expenses to get you into the academy and that apartment? Naruto scoffed. That hardly replaces actually raising him, Jiraiya, Medrick said. Stay out of this. Jiraiya shouted at the god. Medrick felt a vein pop on his forehead from annoyance. No, I won't. I am going to make up for the fact that you screwed up, whether you like it or not. First off, well your job did make it difficult, you could have found workarounds. You could have sent him letters through your messenger toads. At least then he would know of your existence and have a beginning relationship with the toads. He could have learned to better control his chakra, learned useful jutsus, and learned about Fuinjutsu from books you could have sent him. But no, you took the easy way out. Easy? Jiraiya exploded. What do you know about how I felt? I know you abandoned Naruto and only came back when Orochimaru was involved. Yet all you've so far taught him was summoning and the Rasengan. And I use the term teach very loosely. Medrick explained. What are you trying to say? The Watcher shrugged. You're a lousy teacher. I am not. I taught Minato. Medrick facepalmed and sighed as he dragged his hand down. And that is your issue right there. Naruto is not Minato. He is Minato's son, something you and the rest cannot seem to get when you teach him the same way you taught Minato. That won't work for Naruto, especially since besides Iruka, he did not have anyone that gave a damn to try to help him, but he could not care about getting help by that point. He is not a child. He should just act like a shinobi. Not someone that needs to hold his hand all of the damn time. And that is why you failed not only as a godfather but as a teacher as well. A godfather is supposed to guide and raise the child under their protection. Not leave them to their own devices and tell them to act like an adult. A good teacher could tell you that's one of the worst ways to teach a student. That is straight up neglect. You're not the one to decide that. Medrick sighed as nothing he says will get through to him right now. Let's get back to the viewing. However, their cheerful mood drops when they feel an immense kai aimed at them. They look to see Naruto glaring venomously at them. The whites of his eyes glowed, giving him a very eerie look. Kurama and Hinata flinched knowing the bomb those two set off. Naruto continued to glare for a good while before he spoke in a cold whisper. Not that bad. Looked after. Good people of Konoha. His voice was growing much angrier and louder. You stupid, naive, idealistic idiots. At this point, his voice was raised higher. He was now screaming at them. Everyone flinched. Ouch. And here comes the rage-filled rant. Medrick proclaimed. Oh boy. Everyone said. You have the nerve to say to my face. While smiling no else. What fucking village were you living in? And to answer your question, no. I was not well looked after. The moment after you sealed Kurama within me, I had people screaming for my death. Jiraiya, Kakashi, and Tsunade as you well put it did nothing for me. The Sandaime was even worse. He gave into that console like a submissive bitch. I was forced to live in an orphanage till I was kicked out when I was 4. I lived on the streets for nearly 4 fucking years. I was put in an apartment building in the red light district of Konoha. Hell, the residents there treated me more human than the rest of the village. I have been beaten, tortured, stabbed, electrocuted, burned, drowned, and raped by the very people you saved. And you know what they said as they did all that to me? They said a demon like I has no right to live, that they are honoring the Yondaime by finishing his job. So you tell me, what in the fucking hell did you think you were doing when you gave me a death sentence in that village? Everyone looked as white as a ghost. What? Everyone screamed in horror. Naruto looked between pawing more or turning green at the sick thoughts of what the villagers did to RDK Naruto. He could not complete any coherent thought at what he had just heard. Medrick nodded slowly. Yeah. Remember what I said about your life being a pendulum, he was on the shitter end of the stick. So they tried multiple times to kill him. Naruto gulped as he tried to finish his words, they tortured and raped him. Medrick nodded slowly. Sadly yes. How could they? Hinata whispered slowly as she began to shake. But in shock or fear. But in anger. Hinata? Niji asked in concern for his cousin. Those ungrateful hypocritical sons of bitches. Hinata exclaimed in anger, which shocked everyone as they never expected her to cuss or even yell like that. Hinata. Kurenai tried to scold her for her language, but Hinata rounded to glare at her sensei with the Byakugan active. Be silent, Kurenai. The Genjutsu Jonin flinched back as she never thought Hinata would talk to her like that. They all should have been killed by the Kyuubi and burn the rest of the village if they were all okay in allowing something like that to happen to someone as innocent as a child. If you can't agree then you're different from them. Hinata, Kurenai said sadly as she was hurt by her student's words. Most of the others agreed with her words, but still too in shock to comment. How many? Naruto finally asked as he looked to Medrick. Excuse me? He asked, though he had an idea of what Naruto was about to ask. How many worlds have you seen where that has happened to me? Medrick looked up as he thought about his answer before looking back at Naruto. I have observed many worlds. There have been a few worlds that have suffered like RDK Naruto. One eventually became a half-demon and wanted nothing to do with the village as he left it. Another one was violated by a member of the council to see if they could create a super soldier. The other one was a victim of a serial rapist. There have been many others where those close to you have suffered that fate. There are many others you lose those loved ones because of it. Everyone stayed silent as they digested what they heard. This was not a one-time occurrence. It happened multiple times throughout the multiverse. Which meant they may see these events again. The thought alone pushed the bile up their throats as their faces paled. They commanded themselves to push it back down, though. "Let's keep going," Tsunade suggested, which no one disagreed with. By the end of his rant, Naruto was panting so heavily that he was wheezing. He had been keeping all his hatred bottled up for a long time, and hearing that garbage from their mouths finally set him off, and he just let it all go. Still, it felt good to release all his pent-up rage. Plus, he took a sadistic pleasure in breaking their naive perfect views of their beloved village. He was a very fucked up individual, that's for sure. Now if they didn't believe him, he'll just kill them and find his way out of here with Hinata's and Kurama's help. Though could he kill them, since they were spirits? Maybe his magic can test out that theory. Taking souls from the living is one thing, but he's never tried it against the dead. He is cut from his train of thought when he feels a hand on his shoulder and looks over it and sees Hinata looking at him in concern. He gives her a nod to confirm that he was fine. Wait, he can kill spirits' ghosts. How? Naruto asked. He was terrified of ever facing a ghost. To hear that a solution made him feel like he found buried treasure. It's something he picked up from a certain dragon. You will learn about her at a later time. Yoeyng. A voice softly says. Naruto and Kurama with their heightened hearing picked it up immediately. Naruto sighed in annoyance before looking at the two and saw both their heads down, their bodies shaking. Excuse me? You want to repeat what you just said, human? Naruto growled out to his human father. Hinata looks up. You're lying. There's no way that happened to you. Konoha is one of the best villages in the elemental nations. Konoha would not do those things to you. Minato yelled in denial. Kushina looked like someone whose world had been completely crushed and hoped everything she heard was a lie. That couldn't be true. The people of Konoha loved him and his wife, surely they would love their son as well. Surely they would see Naruto as their savior and protector and not the fox sealed within him. And even if they didn't, the Sandaime, Jiraiya and Kakashi would have watched over him. They promised that the boy would live to have a happy childhood and become a great ninja. The people they trusted and risked their lives for wouldn't turn their backs on them and their son so easily, right? Everyone flinched at Minato's outburst, many had never seen the Yondaime so emotional before. Jiraiya, Tsunade and Kakashi flinched the hardest at Minato's outburst and his rant about them. They knew deep down that they failed Minato and Kushina. They could have taken better care of Naruto, but they kept their distance until much later in his life. That was not what Minato and Kushina desired, but it was what they decided was the best option that the Sandaime proposed. They agreed with it, but now they are seeing the repercussions of their actions to not only Naruto, but also to Minato and Kushina. Naruto palmed his face with both hands as he was trembling in rage. He slowly takes his hands off, as his parents took several steps back in fear as Hinata and Kurama got very worried. Naruto's eyes were completely white and brightly shining with a pale glow. Everyone flinched at RDK Naruto's glare and the oppressive aura they were feeling emitting from him. It was like nothing they had ever felt before. Sakura was shivering. Even Orochimaru did emit such a potent amount of Kai when her team confronted the traitorous Snake Sannin in the Forest of Death. The Jonin and Sannin flinched as they had experienced Kai before, but they shivered from Acnologia's Kai. The Genin were shivering as they were not used to feeling such an oppressive force. Kiba was shaking like he was freezing, and Akamaru had fainted after spilling his bowls. Hinata and several others were hyperventilating from the Kai. Naruto was pale as his breath became erratic. He had felt plenty of times before. The villagers, Zabuza, Orochimaru, the Kyuubi, Gaara, etc. But right, none have shit on the malevolent Kai being released by Acnologia. It resembled the Kai he felt from the Kyuubi. The same rage and anger. But it was different. It felt much more focused. However, before anyone could react, Naruto appeared in front of them looking at the two with a malicious smirk. A smirk that promised pain and suffering. Without a second to react, Naruto slammed a swift uppercut into Minato's gut. The air left the Yondaime's lungs as he felt his muscles and organs twist due to the sheer force of the punch. Everyone flinches at the blow. That's gonna leave a mark, Kiba said. Yup. Everyone said. Naruto's smile widens as he hears the sounds of muscles and organs being twisted and squeezed to the brink of being ripped apart. It was music to the Dragon King's ears. And oh boy. Doing it to his human father, Naruto using the term very loosely, made it all the more enjoyable. Naruto flinches at Acnologia's sadistic pleasure at hitting their father. Sure, he always thought of slugging the yondaime in the face, chest, or maybe even a blow to the nuts. But not enjoy it this much. Minato coughed out blood and spit as he flew back a few feet. He began coughing profusely as he held his stomach in pain. However, Minato had little time to contemplate his injuries as Naruto appeared right in front of him. Kushina lunged forward to try and stop Naruto, but the blonde king merely disappeared in a blur before hoisting her into the air through a vicious vice grip to the throat. Kushina. Minato croaked. Naruto smirked as he viciously slammed her into the ground as Kushina grunted in pain. Minato tried to get up, but one swift kick from his son sent him back to the ground. Minato grunted in pain as he and Kushina looked up to see their son going through several hand gestures that resembled hand signs. Suddenly a seal appeared in each of their abdomens. What did he just do? Naruto asked in confusion. He does not recognize what his other self had done. The other genin were just as confused, though Shikamaru looked like he had an idea. The jonin were all staring at the projection in shock. Did that other Naruto perform a Fuinjutsu? Tsunade asked. Jiraiya nodded. I think he did. Minato and Kushina began panicking as they couldn't feel their chakra anymore. Hell, they couldn't move a muscle. What was happening? What have you done to us? Minato coughed out. Naruto smirked. I just added a seal that seals away your chakra and makes you immobile. Making sure you can't run away. Naruto explained as he lifted Minato by the collar of his shirt. Everyone stared at the projection in shock and amazement. Holy shit. Naruto summed up everyone's thoughts. To seal a person's chakra and their movements, Kakashi began. And to perform the seals that intricate and so quickly, Shizune continued. Would mean he would have to be a sealing master. Tsunade finished. Jiraiya shook his head. No. Not a master. More like a grandmaster. Perhaps even higher. His skills easily beat mine, and he outclasses both Minato and Kushina as well. Everyone turned to the Toad Sage in shock. Are you serious? Jiraiya turned to all of them. Very. Whoa. Everyone muttered in awe. He's amazing, Naruto said. Scary, but amazing. Minato was panicking and was about to say something, but a harsh punch in the gut made him choke on his words. No more talking. Now take your beatings like a man. Naruto sneered as he reared his arm back and. Wham. 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 Naruto punches Minato again and again. He could hear his ribs shattering and his organs taking damage. His face was getting more bloody and broken. He coughed blobs of blood as he was continuously pummeled. Everyone flinched as they watched in horror as the yondaime was being beaten to a pulp. Stop that. Jiraiya and Kakashi shouted in unison as they could not bear to see their student mentor get beaten like this. And by his son, no less. Naruto was as white as a ghost as he gulped down the bile he felt rising. Sure, he was angry, but this was taking it too far. Even for him. Kurama was chuckling as he cheered for Acnologia to continue beating the yondaime. Kushina watched in horror as her son beat her husband viciously. Naruto finally paused as he saw the bloody mess that the yondaime was in. He decided it was time to finish this up. He threw the beaten yondaime to the side as he landed next to his wife. Kushina started asking if he was right, but all Minato could do was groan. Anything Kushina was going to say was cut off as Naruto appeared right in front of them. He raised his arm as his magical energy poured into his palm as it formed into a very familiar sphere. The Rasengan. However, Naruto continued to pour his mana into the sphere as it grew until it was the size of a 10-foot-sized beach ball. Naruto, please. Kushina pleaded, but Naruto just gave her a dull look. Farewell, Kushina Uzumaki. Minato Namikaze. Go back to the afterlife knowing that you failed your son. No, stop. Naruto shouted as he couldn't take it anymore. Don't do it. Jiraiya, Tsunade, and Kakashi exclaimed in unison. Naruto was about to launch the Rasengan, but a hand suddenly stopped him. Naruto growled in annoyance as he turned to see who stopped him. His glare vanished as he blankly looked back at the lavender eyes of Hinata. Everyone sighed in relief as the beating stopped. Oh, thank God, Jiraiya said. This is gonna be good, Anko remarked. Why? Was all he asked. Hinata frowned sadly as she continued to look at her crush lover husband. She gave a glance to Kushina and Minato, and her frown deepened as she saw the petrified looks on their faces. She quickly turned back to Naruto's blank stare. I have never seen Minato or Kushina ever look so scared in my life, Jiraiya commented. Yeah, well, they nearly just got killed by their son, Kakashi replied. And Kami, Hinata was there to stop them, Tsunade said in relief. That's the power of being the Gaki's girlfriend. Naruto and Hinata both blushed a bit at the reminder. That's enough. Don't do this. Hinata finally said. Naruto's stare became fierce, but before he could say anything, Hinata continued. Naruto, she began slowly. I understand you are angry. I get it. Kurama gets it. You've bottled up all your anger and hatred for Konoha and your parents for so long, and I can tell you have been through much in this world. And after hearing what your parents said, you finally just snapped and vented it out on them. I understand, Naruto. But I can't allow you to continue. I will not allow you to get consumed by your anger and hatred and make a mistake that you will regret. The Kyuubi growled softly from within the seal. The words of that older Hyuga girl. They reminded him of his father. He always told him and his siblings to never be consumed by the hatred of humanity. Sadly, they had let down the old man throughout the millennium as they waited for the one that he spoke about. Naruto was about to speak, but Hinata cut him off. No, I am not done, so you will listen to me, Naruto. Right now we have bigger things to worry about. Such as figuring out who brought us here. So I need you to calm yourself down and not let your anger consume you. This is not you. You are not the masked Uchiha and you are nothing like Sasuke. So prove that right now that you are not an Uchiha and just cooperate with them until this matter is settled. You don't have to like or forgive them. I can't ask you to do that nor can I force you to. But you promised that we would work together to find out who brought us here. So can you settle down or are we going to be stuck like this until you do? Because I will if I have to. Everyone whistled in an impressed tone. Well damn. There's at least one positive, Hinata grew one hell of a backbone. Ino said. Aha. Everyone replied. Hinata blushed red at the praise. She's amazing, Naruto said out loud. Hinata blushed even more as she looked at her crush. Why you really think so? She asked him. Naruto blushed a bit as he did not realize he said it out loud. Why yeah, of course. Naruto was torn between growling in anger or laughing in amusement. Hinata had truly changed since the last time he saw her, which made her all the more desirable to take at the moment. The aforementioned duo blushed crimson from Acnologia's thoughts. Their snickering friends did not help at all. The only time she ever remotely talked like she did now was during their time together. Well brief, it was one of the best times of his life. He wanted to argue, but deep down he knew she was right. Despite hating his parents, killing them will get him nowhere. They needed to work together to figure out how they got here. He sighed before dispelling the Rasengan as his eyes went back to normal. The others sighed in relief, though Minato and Kushina were more noticeable. The two flinched as they saw Naruto staring at them. Naruto flinched at seeing the terrified looks that his alternative parents were giving his other self. He still thinks his other self went too far, though considering what he has gone through. He can understand why he was so angry. And if what the other Hinata said was true, he had not released that pent-up rage in a long time. But still there had to be other ways to vent besides trying to kill your birth parents. The three stayed in a deafening silence until Naruto raised his arm, which caused the two to flinch, until he flicked his wrists as the seals on their bodies disappeared. Naruto flicked his arm once more as Minato's body glowed as all the injuries he sustained disappeared. The two stood up as they looked up at Naruto in confusion. Wow. He actually healed them. Tenten said. Yes, he can cooperate with them, Shikamaru replied. Especially if his wife asks him to. Ino teased, much to Naruto's and Hinata's embarrassment. Don't get the wrong idea. I did it because if we want to find out who brought us here, we need to be in tip-top shape and have you beaten and bloody, while amusing for me, would be nothing but a hindrance. The two flinched but nodded. Naruto turned to Hinata who gave him a proud smile. Oh. How cute. Ino gushed. Please stop, Ino. Naruto groaned. Now Naruto, who do you know that would be capable of summoning the five of us here? She asked. Perhaps we can answer that question, young lady. A voice stated. The occupants turned their heads to the source of the voice and were shocked at who the origin of the voice was. Oh great, now what? Naruto groaned. What else could happen now? Looks like we are having new guests arriving, Shikamaru said. Does it sound like anyone familiar? Niji asked, but everyone shook their heads. Then it must be someone from Earthland. Everyone shrugged. Best guess. Two figures approached them. Both of these beings were equal in size to Kurama and were dragons like Naruto was when he first appeared in the White Void. The first one had aquamarine scales covering the top half of his body, while his lower body was covered in gray scales. His wings were bat-like just like the typical depiction of a dragon and colored aqua like his skin. His eyes were a very light blue that matched the sky on a bright summer day. He had a white flowing bear tied with a golden band going down his chin and had 4 horns on his head. 2 horns on the top of his head and 2 on his side that was golden at the tips and extended outwards and inwards respectively. A white unibrow covered his forehead and went up to his hair. He had 2 golden plates on his shoulders that connected at the front of his body with a chain. At the end of the chain was a large blue jewel. Past the plates was a long dark blue cloak that reached the end of his tail that had 2 golden bands like his beard. He also had 2 brown packs on both of his sides that were filled with books and scrolls. Wow. Everyone said. He looks so old, Naruto said. He reminds me of the Sandaime. In terms of age. Kiba said. Let's hope he's more honest than him as well. Most of the genin muttered in unison. That dragon surprised Naruto, but it was the second that surprised him the most and made him feel something he has not felt in a long time. Fear. Everyone, including Kurama, blinked in confusion. "Excuse me?" Naruto asked aloud. "Fear? What the hell could scare that version of the brat?" Anko said. This version of Naruto eradicated an entire country of all sentient life. What in the 9 levels of hell could scare him? Must be someone he knows pretty well. Kurenai guessed. "Let's find out," Jiraiya said. The second occupant was a completely black dragon, similar to Naruto's form, but his underbelly was a much darker shade of gray. He had 4 fingers for his claws and talons. His wings were also bat-like in design and had black transparent skin on them. He had 2 horns on his head and 4 on his chin. He had amber eyes with black horizontal slits. He also had bone-like horns that started on his head and then went down his spine to the end of his tail that was in the shape of an axe. The most noticeable attire on this dragon was the silver necklace around his neck that seemed to have an indentation in the center for some kind of jewel. "He looks really cool," Naruto said. "I wonder what their history is," Lee asked. "Something tells me we're about to find out," Tenten remarked. "You will learn soon enough," Medrick replied. Naruto was shaking at who was in front of him. Hinata looked at him in concern at how afraid he seems right now. She taps him on the cheek with her hand, which snaps him out of his trance for him to look at her in fear, which worries her even more. "Naruto-kun, what's wrong? You look so shocked and scared. Please, tell me." Hinata pleaded. Naruto remained quiet, but a cough from the dragons got their attention. "That's what we want to know," Ino said. "I believe we may answer why young Naruto is feeling so anxious in front of us," the blue one said with a smile. Hinata looked at them in worry, while Kurama looked ready to fight if necessary. The blue ones' smiles increased when the girl asked who they were. "You see, young Hinata, I am known as the Chronicler, one of the elder dragons. I am the watcher for all dragonkind. I have recorded the history of the dragon since its infancy to its present state. My fellow draconian is Thorn, the dragon of energy, the 6th dragon king and Naruto's, or should I say Acnologia's, predecessor and surrogate father. The same father he killed with his own hands." "What?" Everyone shouted in shock. "The other Naruto killed his father." "Well, that explains his reaction, but not why he would do such a thing." "He killed his own foster father. Why did he do that?" Naruto exclaimed. "Just what the hell is up with his other self? He destroys an entire country, nearly wipes his entire race, laments about the slaughters, nearly kills his birth parents, and he finds out that he killed his surrogate father. Seriously, he was not used to feeling so many different emotions about a person. Especially when that person is another version of himself. That will be answered in the next recording. So I would give you a small recess to go to the bathroom and stretch your legs," Medrick explained. "Sorry for the long wait for this. I have been busy with work and I only managed to have 2 stories updated. I will try to avoid this happening again in the future, but I cannot make any promises. It really will depend on my free time and desire to write. Again, I apologize for the late update. I also have many other story ideas that I may pull up a poll about which one sounds more interesting to you guys. Now then, with this chapter we'll finally be done with the prologue of RDK and get into the real meat of the story. Hope you are ready for this. Hope everyone enjoyed their Halloween and had some sweets to enjoy with their loved ones. Also, I have a few other story ideas and which one will interest you guys, but I will give more details at the end. Also, I have a special update to commemorate Halloween. I know it's late, but late than never, right? Alright, let the show begin. World 1. RDK, Part 3. Naruto splashed cold water into his face as he sighed deeply. When he woke up this morning, Naruto expected a regular day in his life. He would eat his ramen for breakfast, try to ask Sakura out and get rejected, wait for Kakashi, and do either missions or training before going back home. That was what he was expecting for the next few days, until Jiraiya said they would leave for their training trip. The last thing he was expecting was to be brought into some theater room by some god that wanted to show them different versions of himself. At first, he was excited. How couldn't he be? He gets to see other versions of himself. Maybe see some cool techniques from the viewings and maybe show versions where he is accepted and loved by his village. Perhaps even get the attention of a certain crush of his. However, this was not what he experienced. Sure, seeing the adventures of Fairy Tail was amazing, but it all changed when he and the others found out that Acnologia was actually his alternate self. It was not bad enough, he heard about how that version slaughtered an entire country's population in a single night. That is not even the worst thing he learned, as he found out just how shitty RDK Naruto's life was. Naruto had been hated all his life. He has been glared at, he's had adults either ignore him or tell their children to do the same, he has been denied service in stores or flat out overpriced, and on rare occasions, he has had objects thrown at him or his home get vandalized. But RDK Naruto had it worse. He was beaten regularly and was raped. Naruto had to swallow hard to avoid the bile that wanted to crept up his throat again. He never thought he would hear that happening to any version of himself. And the worst part is that there will probably be other versions of himself or those he cared about that suffered that fate. Great. He grumbled. Now I sound like Neji. Naruto morbidly wondered if they would have to watch the incident occur. The thought brought a cold chill down his spine. He idly wondered if he was in the place of RDK Naruto, what would he do? Would have turned out like RDK Naruto or would he have turned out worse? In the dark recesses of his very soul, Naruto knew that he may not have handled it as well as his counterpart. In fact, a part of him knew he could have easily shattered after that. Naruto looked up into the mirror and looked at what was supposed to be a reflection, but what he saw instead was RDK Naruto staring at him with blank, soulless eyes. Naruto shivered at the gaze he was receiving, the reflection then changed, and this time to two people. Minato Namikaze and Kushina Uzumaki. Above all else, the biggest revelation Naruto has received was the identity of his parents. For years, he wondered his parents where and what kind of people they were. He was envious of other children as they walked around with their parents. He asked a Sandaime who his parents were multiple times, but all he would tell the young boy was that his parents died during the Kyuubi attack. Only now he finds out that the Sandaime had lied to his face this entire time. He knew his parents were. But he decided it was best if he did not know the truth until he deems him ready. Just like how I was not ready to learn about the Kyuubi. Naruto thought bitterly. All this time, the old man denied him the information that should have been rightfully his. And not just him. Kakashi, Jiraiya and Tsunade all knew about it too and decided to not tell him either. The former two especially pissed him off as Kakashi was his father's student, but that bloody scarecrow never approached him when he was growing and being part of his Anbu does not count even if he was in it. Then there's Jiraiya. His fucking godfather, he never once approached him even once. And remembering what Medrick said to him just pisses him off more. The god was right, Jiraiya could have found easy workarounds to meet him and look after him. But nope. He waits until the Chunin exams to approach and barely teaches him the summoning jutsu and nearly kills him to get him to meet the fox to get access to his chakra. A dark chuckle echoed in his head. It hurts doesn't it, boy? A familiar voice asked. What do you want, fox? Naruto demanded. Come now. Can't I be concerned about my jailer's well-being? If that was your attempt at a joke, I am not amused. Well then if humor does not work, let's try this. How does it feel? Naruto frowned. What? Naruto could feel the sneer of the fox's maw. How does it feel to learn that it was your parents that sealed you within me? That the very people that you trusted have lied to you all your life? Naruto remained silent as the fox continued to mock his jailer. It stings, doesn't it? That despite them saying they cared about you, I, the being that has been trying to take you over and kill you, has been more honest to you than them. I would still have parents if you hadn't killed them. Naruto roared. Then your parents shouldn't have tried to seal me again after I had been released. The fox shouted back. What were they supposed to do? Let you destroy their home in your rage? The blonde asked. They should have left me alone. For nearly a century I and the Bijuu have been imprisoned to be used for your ninjas' entertainment. Kyuubi growled. I curse the day that bastard Madara took control of me that day. I curse the day that Hashirama restrained me with his wood release and then his wife sealing me into her. And I curse the day that Hashirama collected all of my brethren and traded us away as if we were toys to be given to children. And then I have to be sealed 2 more times. One in your damn mother who caged me like a fucking animal with stakes stabbed into my tails, hands, feet, and chest. Naruto flinched as he could admit that would be unbearable to live in for years before I was taken control of by those damn eyes again of Madara. Then your parents decided to seal me into you. All for preserving the balance between the shinobi system and believing a foolish child like you could defeat the Mask Uchiha. The Kyuubi growled loud as chakra leaked from his cage as Kai emitted from the entire seal from his rage. I curse you and all who would dare preach about being a shinobi. You are all nothing more than filthy greedy abominations on this planet. The demon fox was not always such an embodiment of rage and hatred, as he was once a more calm and benevolent being. However, after centuries of being hunted and hated by humanity, the very same race that took his father's gifts and made it into a weapon for their wars, his compassion and empathy, turned hatred as that was all he was given to know or understand. What made it worse is that the very descendants of his father began to manipulate him and his siblings to keep some foolish system of balance they had created from their inability to understand one another through any other means, except for fighting and killing one another. None of his Jinchuriki ever tried to see it from his point of view, all they saw was a powerful creature that they saw was too dangerous to run free and had me caged for the benefit of the world, they said. To keep his rage in check, they said. Who were they to judge him when they couldn't go a few years without starting another war to mass murder each? And this weak brat that was his current will be the same as well. They were all the same. That is how all humanity is. They can never change. Naruto stayed silent as he digested everything the Kyuubi or he should say Kurama told. Looking at it from the fox's perspective, he can see why the fox would be so angry all of the damn time. Everyone just saw him as a monster that needed to be restrained and locked up or as a tool, a weapon, to be used in wars they wanted no part. And to add salt into the wound, he was controlled by the Sharingan not once but twice, and both instances ended up with him being sealed. Naruto shuddered as he thought about how the fox was locked up like an animal or crucified on a giant boulder. He can see why the fox would be so happy to get out of that as soon as possible. Strangely, Naruto can relate a lot to how Kurama and the other Biju have been treated. He was never seen as Naruto Uzumaki. The village saw him as the demon brat. They never saw the boy, only what he held within him. He was hated and disregarded by everyone in his home. Kurama was never seen as a sentient creature, but a massive chakra that needed to be retrained and used as a weapon. It never occurred to Naruto that the Biju could feel just as bitter against humanity and their vessels for their terrible lives, just as he hated the fox for making his life miserable. He knew that the fox would never apologize for what he did on the night he was born. At least not yet. But from what he saw from the RDK world, there was more to the fox than a rage-filled behemoth. He can be compassionate in his own way. But he doubts he'll do that anytime soon, but maybe watching these different worlds and actually trying to learn about him. Maybe things can be different between them and end this merry-go-round the fox has been going on with his hatred against humanity. Plus, despite everything he has been through, some people saw him as a person and not as a Jinchuriki or a demon fox. Even if some of them lied to him about things he should have been told, despite how angry he was with them, he can tell they still did care about his well-being. Whether that changed or not in the future, remains to be seen. After mulling over his thoughts a bit more, Naruto spoke to his tenant again. I have been lied to all my life, and maybe you're right in some ways. But I am not alone. Kurama raised an intrigued eyebrow. Oh? My friends know about you yet they still accept me. They see us as two separate beings unlike most of the village. Even though the others like Jiraiya, Tsunade, and Kakashi lied to me, they never saw me as the fox. The great fox grumbled. As much as I loathe admitting this, I am slightly impressed that those humans sided with you, though I was not entirely surprised by that Hyuga girl not changing her opinion of you. Naruto blinked. What? I have the ability to sense negative emotions, yet I never sensed any of that kind from that girl. All I could sense were that abhorrent infatuation she had for you. Kurama responded with an eye roll. Naruto's eyes widened to the size of dinner plates. You knew this whole time. Kurama deadpan. Boy, you have to be blind, deaf, and stupid to not know that the girl had feelings for you. Naruto groaned as he slammed his face into the sink. Great. Just great. How are you feeling, Naruto? Naruto raised his head and turned to the voice that spoke the question. It was none other than Shikamaru. The Nara heir had a worried look on his features. Naruto shrugged. As well as I can be Shika. All things considered, he replied. Shikamaru nodded. I get it. I can tell you that everyone else is feeling similarly. Where is everyone? Naruto asked. Most of them have returned to the viewing room and are just waiting for you. Hinata would have come to get you, but I decided it's best if I do it. Shikamaru explained. Oh. Naruto sounded a bit down. Shikamaru raises an eyebrow at this. What? Disappointed that she didn't come? Or would have preferred Sakura? Naruto groaned in annoyance. Shut up, Shika. The two walked back to the theater room where everyone was just relaxing before they began the viewing again. Anko was pigging out on some dango. Lee and Guy were eating some very spicy curry. Niji was having some tea. Ino, Sakura and Tenten were enjoying a sweet drink. Hinata was indulging in some cinnamon buns. Naruto was shocked as he never expected to see her eat something as fast as he did with ramen. Choji and Kiba were feasting on some meat. Jiraiya and Tsunade were enjoying some sake. Shizune and Kakashi were enjoying some fish together. Kurenai was drinking some wine with some pasta. Naruto decided to eat a few bowls of ramen. After everyone had finished their meals, they sat down and turned to Medrick. Are you guys ready? He asked. Everyone nodded. Yeah, let's keep going, Tsunade answered for everyone. Now I hope you get ready because some interesting information is going to be dumped on you guys, Medrick informed the group. How interesting? Naruto asked. Medrick smirked in response. Let's just say the bombshells will be very shell-shocking. From within the seal, Kurama adjusted himself as he prepared himself for the next viewing. Let's see what we learn this time. A bright flash envelops the mindscape of his cell as several barrels of food and drinks appeared with a large note for him to read. Thought you could have something to feed yourself for entertainment as you watch. You should pay close attention as this next viewing will be important for you as well. How interesting. Let's see what you have for us this time, God. Now then let us begin. Medrick declared as the next viewing began. The silence that encompasses the room was deafening. Kurama and Hinata were looking between the dragons and Naruto in shock. Naruto killed his surrogate father. Why though? What would cause him to do such an act against a being who most likely raised him like a son? Power. Revenge. None of those matched with Naruto's beliefs or ideologies. I would be inclined to agree, but that Naruto is very different from the one they probably remember, Shikamaru said. That's an understatement. Naruto and several others muttered in unison. But they had no idea how long it has been for Naruto after his execution. So it's possible that he changed to someone much more bitter and vengeful than his old self. However, any doubts were removed when they saw how the aforementioned blonde was taking the appearance of the two dragons. This ought to be interesting. Several said. In layman's terms, Naruto was shaking like a frightened rabbit. They could tell Naruto was terrified of speaking with the former Dragon King, let alone being in the same room as him. Everyone breathed in as they saw the look on Acnologia's face. Kiba summed up everyone's thoughts with one word. Damn. After hearing everything he's done and what he just did, I never thought I would ever see this Naruto ever have a face like that, Choji said. Not just anyone would brush off murdering their father. This Naruto, despite how he acts and what he has done, still has a piece of his humanity intact. Well, there's that and the fact that he listens to his Hinata-sama when she tells him to stop, Niji replied. That's the power of love. Ino gushed with Naruto and Hinata blushing. Or he's just plain whipped, Anko suggested. That too. I wish they shut up about that. A blushing Naruto demanded with Hinata thinking similarly with a blush on her entire face. Speaking of Naruto, said blonde could not look Thorin in the eye. He had disgraced the great legacy Thorin had left him with his actions during the Dragon Civil War. He spat on his ideals and his last wishes. That was why at the moment he had his head lowered in shame, not being able to look at Thorin directly. As far as he was concerned, he should not be king. Naruto tilted his head in confusion. He never wanted to be king. Then how come he got called that? Is it self-proclaimed? Shikamaru shook his head. No, I doubt it's just that. Even though he may do it to boast his title around. There are several ways one becomes king to a throne, similar to how a clan heir can become a clan head. He explains. The most obvious one is that the heir succeeds the throne from the previous king. Another way is that a certain event or ritual has to occur for a successor to be chosen. And the most simple way is to kill the king and take the title, though that won't usually work with normal societies. Though dragons may have a more warrior mindset of the mightiest rules, we just have to wait and see. And yet, none of the dragons came after him to take the crown. Was it because he was the strongest or because the crystal still saw him worthy? But why though? He had done nothing to earn that title or its benefits. All he did was bring the dragon race to near extinction. Kiba blinked. Crystal. Could that be what symbolizes someone as the Dragon King? And from how Acnologia says it, this crystal might be sentient to some extent and chooses who is the king, Shino said. Yes, that covers the ritual angle, Ino replied. Shikamaru nodded. Pretty much. That may also explain the grove on Thorin's necklace. It's for the crystal. Niji said. I wonder if we will ever see the crystal? Naruto asked. All in due time, viewers, Medrick replied. Hell, all he has been doing for the last 400 years is destroy countless empires and civilizations. Even if many were ruled by tyrannical men or were followers of Zeref, he didn't just kill the king, he killed everything. Every man, woman, and child was eradicated by him. It was a literal genocide. He brought nothing but death, destruction, and annihilation to anything and anyone that came in his line of sight. All in the name of filling the empty void that had not closed in those 400 years. Everyone gasped. That's all he did for 400 years? Just killing and destroying anything he could find. That's how he coped with his pain? Tsunade asked. Medrick shook his head. Not solely. But it was what he did for a majority of those 4 centuries. What did he do in between the mindless destruction? Jiraiya asked. Well, Acnologia swiftly realized that constantly destroying everything with nothing and no one that has the power to fight back can get rather boring. So he found some activities to entertain himself. Such as everyone began, but Medrick shrugged his shoulders. Spoilers. Everyone grumbled about troublesome gods, much to the amusement of the Watcher god. The blonde was cut from his musings when a black claw touched his chin and lifted his head. He locked his eyes with Thorin. While he expected rage or disappointment, he did not expect a gentle expression on Thorin's face. He merely smiled at Naruto's bewildered look. It has been a long time, my son. You have grown to become a magnificent dragon, Naruto. Naruto's eyes widened and just gawked as he pushed the claw away and looked at Thorin in anguish and confusion. Never expected that type of response, I guess. Shizune suggested. Let's see how he reacts to them, Kakashi replied. I sense a bit of a rant coming in, Anko said. Several nodded. Same here. How can you say that to me? How can you say all that after everything I have done? I killed you. I killed countless of my brethren in cold blood. Hell, part of me enjoyed it while I saw their lives being taken away as their eyes lost their light and they fell into the cold earth. For dragon's sake, I drank and bathed in their blood and ate some of their bodies and organs. How can you still look at me with such love and affection? I don't deserve to be loved. Why don't you scorn me? Why don't you hate me? Answer me. Everyone was dead silent as the color drained from their faces. Even Kurama was surprised at this new tidbit of information. He drank their blood and actually bathed in it. Naruto began as he gulped. He committed cannibalism. The Okami. Hinata gasped out as she trembled in shock and fear. I am going to be sick. Kiba moaned. Dead in line. Everyone else said in unison. How could he? Tsunade demanded. Medrick sighed. I will say that he did not just decide to do that on a whim. This was a slow decline in his sanity and rage throughout the war he was participating in at the time. And the trigger that caused him to go full cannibal was a betrayal that made him finally snap. But it was one final event that really destroyed who RDK Naruto used to be and caused what he became now. The god explained. Medrick raised his hand. Before you ask, those events will be explained later on. Will we have to watch it? Naruto asked with some trepidation. Yes. Fuck. Everyone thought. By the end of his rant, Naruto was on his hands and knees opening, weeping and shaking. He couldn't understand why his father still loved him after everything he has done to him, to their people, to his legacy. Hinata could not stand anymore and watch her beloved look so broken. The last time she saw him like this was before his execution. She rushed to his side and did her best to comfort him despite his protest. She did not care about the things that he had done. It's been years since she saw him and people change as tragedy happens to them. She did not care if he was the reincarnation of evil itself. She promised she would love him for all eternity, even if it meant falling into the depths of hell to be with him. She would jump off the edge without a second thought. Awa. Many of the girls, and some of the guys, gushed out loud, much to a certain pair's embarrassment. Now that's dedication. Kurenai complimented. Love for all eternity and jumped straight into the depths of hell to be with Naruto. My Hinata, who knew you could be so passionate about your love? An envious Ino replied. I hope we get to see some blonde Hyugas in these. Anko teased as Hinata and Naruto blushed a deep scarlet red. Medrick smirked. You might just get your wish. Eep. Hinata squeaked as steam billowed out of her head. Despite his embarrassment, Naruto was looking at RDK Hinata in shock. She would go that far for him. Even after everything he said and did, she still loves him. Is that what real love looks like? The one thing Naruto wanted more than anything was to be acknowledged and accepted. To be loved. He thought by becoming Hokage he could get the love he saw everyone was giving the Sandaime. But while his friends acknowledge and accept him, it's not the love he wanted. He thought by getting Sakura to date him, he could get that love. But she always rejected him and went after Sasuke. It was one of the reasons he made Sasuke his rival. If he could become better than Sasuke, perhaps he can prove his worth to Sakura, so maybe she'll go to him. But here is another version of him that's basically of everything he is, and yet he has someone that would always be by his side no matter what. Someone that liked him and he never noticed. Something that everyone else probably knew, which made him want to smack himself even more. He turned to see his version of the Hyuga girl. Would my Hinata do the same? Naruto shook his head in exasperation. That you head out of the clouds. You're not even dating Hinata. Hell, you barely know her. But maybe that could change. Naruto could only hope. Meanwhile, Kurama looked at the scene with a sad expression on his maw. He knew what it was like to have failed a father and to have killed thousands of people for years. This caused everyone to blink in surprise. What exactly does that mean? Jiraiya asked with some suspicion. Did the Kyuubi have parents? Naruto asked before hearing the angry growls of his tenant. That is not your concern, Ninjin. The blonde frowned in annoyance. Don't have to be such a crouch. Naruto grumbled. As far as I know, none of the Biju have any type of parents as they are beings of sentient chakra, not flesh and blood. So I have no idea who the other Kyuubi is referring to. The Toad Sage replied. It was like him and Naruto were reflections of one another. It actually made him feel some pity to know that someone he came to care about like a son ended up as he did in his life. Excuse me? Many people exclaimed in shock and surprise. Son? Jiraiya, Tsunade and Kakashi shouted in outrage. That Kyuubi sees me as his son. Naruto shouted. His eyes narrowed as he heard his fox laughing hysterically with the seal. Quit laughing, fox. Aw, what's the matter, kid? Why are you so angry at your dear father? Naruto felt several veins on his head throb as his eye twitched erratically. Piss off. He looks to Kushina and Minato to see them looking at the distressed Naruto in sorrow. They must have realized that Naruto's cold and sadistic persona was a facade to hide away from the shame, guilt, pain, and, most importantly, the anger that lay deep within. Kurama just had to chuckle cynically. No matter how much time passes, some things would never change. In Naruto's case, wearing a mask to hide his true feelings. Naruto flinched as everyone turned to him. What the hell does that mean? Shikamaru asked. Naruto. Jiraiya began. Naruto, while still angry at Jiraiya, was too distracted to focus on his anger. Why yeah? He asked. Do you have any idea about what that other Kyuubi is talking about? Naruto shook his head. No, I don't. It is unwise to lie, boy. Kurama warned. Shut up. Naruto, I have to agree with Kurama. It's unwise to lie. Medrick advised. I don't know what you're talking about. Naruto retorted. Yes, you do. Since the moment you can understand words and speak, you have been hated by your village. All for something that is beyond your control. All the hatred and anger could break any normal person. But not you. Medrick explained. Everyone stayed silent as they let the gods speak. The rookies had to keep their tempers in check as they heard about Naruto's upbringing even more. You could not understand why you were hated so much. But you hated how they looked at you. You wanted to make them stop looking at you like that. And then you came with an idea. If you acted like a fool and pulled pranks, you may get the people's attention. Even if it was bad, any attention was better than none. Everyone who did not know about this had their eyes widen as they looked at the blonde in shock and guilt as they realized how little they knew about that looked at Naruto in concern as he held his head down. Shut up, Naruto said lowly. So you crafted your clown mask. You practiced in a mirror to continuously smile and have that smile every day on your face, no matter what happens. Well, you bury every negative emotion you had. You smile at everyone and that's all they see. Yet nearly all of them lack the sight to see the undying sorrow and loneliness beneath those eyes and the cold hatred that lies beneath them as well. Shut up. Naruto exclaimed as everyone flinched from the blonde's sudden outburst. That's a lie. I may be angry at Konoha, but I don't hate it. Medrick sighed. I prefer you don't lie to me, Naruto. I am not. Are you going to say this to me? Especially with the evidence staring everyone in the face. Medrick asked as he pointed at the screen. What does one version keeping his problems bottled up have to do with me? It has everything to do with you, since nearly every version of you suffers from the same problem. The god retorted. And what's that? Naruto demanded. You wear a mask to conceal your true feelings, and before you try to deny again, why don't we ask two individuals? Kurama, I know you can hear me. Since you have been with Naruto since his birth, you should know the answer to this. Naruto continued to glare at the god as his furry companion spoke again. It's never wise to lie to a god, kid. I don't hate Konoha. You may deny it all you want, but I have been with you all your life. I know all of your inner dark secrets. Deep down a part of you truly despises your village and wishes for it to burn. You're lying. Me? What do I gain from lying to you? You carry a palpable amount of hatred, boy. And the more you deny it, the easier it would be for my power to consume you. What do you mean? I have spoken enough for now on the topic. Let the god continue this interrogation. Now then, I can see you're still not convinced. Hinata. The indigo girl flinched as she now had the attention of the entire room. Why yes. She asked. Can you provide your input on Naruto's mask? The young girl gulped as she turned to her blonde crush. Naruto, I have noticed how when people say terrible things to you, you always force out a smile. I can tell it's fake because you usually have your eyes closed and your smile is stretched out too much. You always give it when something is bugging you. And I have seen when someone really gets under your skin, I can see you have brief flashes of anger pass by your eyes. Everyone, including Naruto, just stared at the Hyuga in surprise. Naruto was shell-shocked at how well Hinata could read him. Sure, he knew how perspective she could be during their talk before his fight with Neji, but he never knew she saw even that. It was weird and kind of frightening. But a part of him was also delighted to know that someone could understand him that well. It made him feel weird, like a warm sensation bubbling in his stomach and chest. He wasn't sure what this was, but he did not dislike it either. Well, as much as I would like to say that I told you so, we have to put a pin on this conversation for now. Medrick declared. Back with Naruto, he continued to sob while Hinata held him as tightly as she could and whispered comforting words from her. He did not deserve such a gesture from such a kind woman. She was light personified, while he was darkness in its worst form. Yet he held her as tightly as he could, as if she was his lifeline. Maybe I can be that kind of comfort for my Naruto, Hinata thought to herself. Oren looked down at his son in sadness. He knew that Naruto had suffered far worse than most dragons have suffered in all of their lifetimes combined. He knew that he had bottled all his anguish, but he needed to get back to business to help with the mission ahead. Naruto, look at me. He said, and Naruto obeyed. What happened 400 years ago was a tragedy. A great tragedy indeed. However, it was unavoidable with how the war was going for both sides. Someone would have ended just like you, and the same result would have occurred, regardless of what you or anyone else did. None of the dragons blame you for what happened. Not me. Not the chronicler, nor the elementals or the other dragons. Didn't you ever wonder why none of them nor our allies did anything to stop you? It's because they felt some responsibility for what happened to you and decided to leave you alone in your grief and ordered the remaining dragons to go into hiding. Now that you have calmed down to a reasonable level, the chronicler and his father decided to set this little meeting up and to give you something. What do they want to offer Naruto-kun? Hinata asked for him. Oren smiled at the girl before caressing her cheek with one of his claws. So you are the famous Hinata. Naruto would always speak about you for a very long time. I must say you as beautiful as he described. He would always talk about you most of the time, calling you his lavender queen or moon goddess. He especially talked all the time when your daughter asked him about you. I am glad I had a chance to meet my son's first mate. Several hummed in amusement. Oh, Naruto, you have a way with words. Lavender queen and moon goddess. I wonder what our Hinata thinks about this. Ino gushed. I bet she'll love to gain such affectionate titles from her crush, Anko teased. Hinata squeaked again. Yep. Shikamaru uttered. Choji turned to his oldest friend in confusion. What's up, Shika? Thinking about what Naruto should call our Hinata? That would be too troublesome for me, Naruto can handle it. I was thinking about Thorin saying those two having a daughter. The Nara heir's words caused everyone to blink as they thought about what Thorin said to the older Hinata. Now that you mention it, Tenten began. He did, Asuma confirmed. Oh, you two had a kid, oh I can't wait to see them. Anko teased. Hey KK kids with Naruto-kun. An atomic red Hinata squeaked. Wait, isn't Hinata a little too young to have kids? A suspicious Kurenai asked. Anko smacked her best friend on the shoulder. Oh, don't be a prude, Kurenai. That Hinata looks like she's in her early 20s at least, and if we take into account what the fox said when he first spoke to Naruto. A little young, but considering our life expectancy, maybe she wanted to have one before anything could happen to her. Look what happened to Naruto. I think I know who their kid is. Thought several people in the audience. Hinata was literally steaming red from what Thorin told her. Beautiful. Moon goddess. Lavender queen. How can Naruto swoon her over with such simple words? They only met after a few years and yet he can sweep off her feet so easily. She looked at Naruto and saw his eyes. She saw that he meant every word and that they were still true to him even now. She wanted to take him right then and there, but something Thorin said got her attention and caused her to look at the dragon in confusion. Several people blushed red from listening to RDK Hinata's thoughts, none more so than Naruto and Hinata. Damn, that girl is a horny vixen, Jiraiya said, which led to Kurenai and Tsunade smacking him over the head. It's always the quiet ones that get you, Ino said. Anko gave a very perverted grin. And they're the biggest screamers in bed. Yep. Anko. What, you know it's true, Nai-chan. Anko gave her friend a saucy smirk. Especially from personal experience. Holy shit. That was the last straw for some of the audience, as most of the guys went flying due to blood. Hinata fainted with steam erupting out of her head and blood oozing out of her nose, and the other girls were either blushing terribly, in Kurenai's case trying to bury her face into her hands and get the ground to swallow her, and Anko cackling madly. Medrick then whistled loudly as he got the attention of everyone still conscious. Alright, enough. Well, this is entertaining, I need everyone to be conscious. The last thing I need you two doing is traumatizing the kids. He said in an amused tone. Too late for that. Thought most of the audience, including the barely conscious group of guys and girls. Though traumatizing would not be the word they would use. After calming everyone down and conscious, they resumed, though it should be noted that Kurenai and Tsunade were glaring at Anko, and a pair of indigo and blonde-haired genin could not look at one another. Orinoto-sama, what do you mean daughter? Naruto and I have no children. Oren smiled at his nickname, as did Chronicler, Naruto, and Kurama. Did you forget the time between Naruto and yourself before he was executed? Hinata blushed a deep red again and nodded, remembering her time with her beloved. Oh, I can tell there's a naughty story behind that blush. Enough, Anko. An exasperated Tsunade ordered. Anko pouted but relented, much to the relief of Naruto and Hinata. Why yes. Now about this offer? She asked. Before that, I think there are some people that need to be informed about some events. Right, Naruto. The chronicler spoke this time. Naruto nodded and got up before walking over to Kurama and his parents again. Naruto looked at them seriously, while the two were nervous but remained calm. What I am about to show you is my life up till my execution. I have no reason to lie to either of you, so know this is the absolute truth. I swear a blood oath to the dragons I am showing you the truth. After he finished that, lightning boomed within the void, confusing everyone except the dragons and Naruto on what it meant. The chronicler decided to explain. Everyone felt a shiver go down their spines. Well, then the plot thickens. Shino comments. Is that normal for an oath to cause lightning? Naruto asked. In this world about that oath, yes, Medrick explained. The blood oath to the dragons is a sacred vow that a being makes that they swear to uphold and accomplish the task they promise to keep. Failure to do so would mean eternal pain and suffering for the person that broke that solemn oath. Everyone whistled. Damn. That's one hell of an oath, Anko said. He must be serious if he's going this far, Asuma replied. Everyone looked at Naruto in shock. He would really take it that far to prove he was telling the truth. Then again, it was just like him to do something so crazy. Naruto then closed his eyes. Byakugan. When he opened his eyes, they glowed a pale white. Hinata looked at him confused as to why he called it that. I named it Byakugan because of how my eyes looked and some of their abilities match yours. Plus it was my way to honor you. It made me feel like I had a piece of you with me at all times. All the girls gushed as Hinata blushed again. He honors you? Ino teased. I hope this ends soon. Naruto and Hinata thought. He smiled when Hinata looked like she was the happiest woman on the planet and gave him a big fat wet French kiss. The kiss lasted for a few minutes and involved a lot of tongue movement until Naruto was given some time to breathe. He looked to see that Hinata's face was flushed and her eyes had a lot of lust in them. Lust for him and him only. He knew he probably had the same look on him. This time both Naruto and Hinata fainted with cherry red faces and wide eyes. Oh. Damn, now that was a makeout, Ino muttered with several nodding in agreement. That was hot, Sakura said in embarrassment and something else that only Ino picked up. She looked at her friend with a sly grin. This was getting interesting. If that's what he gets for naming an ability for her, I can't wait to see what gets him some steamy lovemaking, if that steamy French kiss was anything to go by. Enko? Tsunade and Kurenai exclaimed. I really hope we don't see that. Thought several in the audience. The dragons and Fox just laughed at the display. Minato and Kushina were blushing at the display of affection, since that should be reserved in the bedroom. Naruto pulled his attention back to his parents. Memory projection. He shouted as a giant white screen appeared above his head. The screen flashed to life. Now then, we will go through Naruto's memories. So just sit back and endure. We are in for a bumpy ride. Medrick warned. Everyone gulped as they focused back at the projections. He projected Konoha after Kurama's attack and was sealed inside Naruto. The scenery was from a horror movie. The fire was everywhere, burning buildings and corpses of the dead. Buildings crushed and destroyed and many areas were left barren. Bodies of the dead were scattered everywhere. Sometimes only limbs were all that remained of a person. The scene changed to the council room when the reinstated Sandaime took charge after his successor's death and revealed Naruto's condition to the council. Immediately they screamed for his death on the civilian side, while the shinobi wanted him on a leash or in a jail cell to protect everyone. Danzo wanted him as a weapon to be used against their enemies. The Sandaime demanded silence and explained Naruto will live in the orphanage and later be put in a home in the red light district with no one helping him, including the Hokage. Almost everyone agreed and the meeting ended. Everyone clenched their fists in anger at seeing the council quickly demand the death of a child that was just born. Neji and Hinata were close to activating their Byakugan as the others were leaking chakra. The scene changed to Naruto having a horrible time in the orphanage. Being given worn-out clothes and barely any blankets to keep himself warm. The other kids and caretakers abused and bullied the child for the years he remained in the orphanage. When he was 4, he was thrown out onto the streets, in a blizzard no less. He would have died from hypothermia and frostbite if the fox had not used his chakra to keep Naruto warm and protected from the elements. Naruto lived in cardboard boxes for shelter and found his food from the various dumpsters he scavenged around. After one beating on his birthday, he was given his rundown apartment. It was during his time he met the good people of Ichiraku Ramen that always gave him a bowl of food. It soon became his favorite place to eat and hang out. But that did not deter the numerous attempts at his life. He was beaten and abused in the vilest ways a human could do to a child. Then when he was 8, he was kidnapped by several villagers that toured and raped him for several months. By the time he was rescued by the Hokage and some of his trusted Anbu, the deed was done. The same Anbu that arrived late to save from his beatings. After his rescue, Naruto was an empty husk. He cared nothing for anyone or anything. He was tired of the pain, of all the suffering. So he took a knife in his home and pierced his heart with it. Ooh. Literally the entire audience screamed in horror. Most of the girls were in tears as they wished they could rush in and comfort the child Naruto and stop him from trying to commit suicide. Oh god. Screamed a traumatized Tsunade. Damn it. Shouted a grief-stricken Jiraiya. Most of the others were horrified as they never thought they would ever see Naruto of all people try to commit suicide, and as a child no less. They morbidly wondered if he was not as stubborn as he was, would he have tried to do the same? While he may not have been violated, the emotional trauma would be more than enough to push anyone over the edge. He fell to the floor as he was drowning in a pool of his own blood. But the fox saved him from death and he was taken to the hospital to speed up the healing. After release, Naruto would try to end his life for months, but each time he failed miserably. Naruto finally just gave up on trying to end his life, then he came up with the idea of becoming Hokage and gaining everyone's love and appreciation. Since everyone looks up to the Hokage with love, awe, respect, and look up to him for guidance, he decided to do the same. It was an act of desperation. A desperate dream of a child that wanted to be loved. My god, Naruto, how much have you been suffering under the surface? Thought a majority of the audience. Naruto-kun, Hinata muttered, but the blonde stayed silent as he stared up at the projection. He entered the academy to become a ninja, but he quickly saw that his teachers did everything possible to sabotage his learning. Naruto decided to play pranks to get back at them and to vent out his hate to the village. Plus it was a good lesson in stealth and he managed to outrun the Chunin, Jonin, and even Anbu chasing him for hours. He literally painted the village's monument in broad daylight in a neon orange jumpsuit and no one caught him until he was done. The day he failed for the third time he was tricked into stealing the scroll of ceilings, which was a relic of the village. He mastered a forbidden technique from it in just a few hours. The technique was called the Shadow Clone Jutsu, which creates solid copies of the user. These copies were self-conscious and able to think for themselves, but usually acted identical to the original. The main thing was that anything they learn or experience goes to the original user after they are dispelled in a cloud of smoke. He used it to save the one teacher that cared about him and beat the other teacher that tricked him into stealing the scroll. He was put in a team with his crush Sakura Haruno and his emo rival Sasuke Uchiha. His teacher was a masked cyclops by the name of Kakashi Haddock. He was a lazy bum that always arrived 3 hours late and gave the worst exercises you could have ever heard. He gave lousy exercises and always focused on Sasuke. Sakura never cared and always fawned over Sasuke. She would always berate and hit Naruto whenever he tried to cheer her up or ask her out. Then came his first mission outside the village that went from a simple C rank to an A rank. It was during this mission he learned what his ninja way will be and how he will live his life in the shinobi world. Kakashi. A disturbingly calm Tsunade called out. A shiver went down the spine of the copy ninja and everyone else in the room. Why yes. He stuttered out. Did you actually let a genin team fight a missing nin from Kiri? And one that has as much infamy as the Demon of the Mist? She asked. In my defense, they wanted to continue the mission and I was the one fighting him. Most of the time. Yet you still got caught, she said. Kakashi gulped. Well minus that minor hiccup. We will talk later after this. Then came the chance to advance in ninja rank, the Chunin exams. It was broken into 3 parts. A written part, which went off with little trouble. The second part was a survival exam in an area called the Forest of Death. That is where things went to shit. First, the 3 got separated from each other by a powerful wind attack. Then Naruto gets eaten by a giant snake. Then after he gets out he finds his teammates being attacked by the guy that sent that snake. This man was Orochimaru. Naruto used some of Kurama's chakra to fight him, but he was knocked eventually by having his connection cut off by Orochimaru. After the snake marks Sasuke with a curse mark, he leaves them to their own devices. His team barely makes it to the 3rd stage. The preliminary stage was set to narrow down the numbers. Naruto is able to win as did Sasuke. Sakura ends her fight in a draw. Naruto then makes it his personal mission to beat Neji for nearly killing Hinata in their match. Naruto and the others had 1 month to train before the 3rd round. Naruto meets Jiraiya for the first time. Jiraiya was one of Orochimaru's teammates and both studied under the Sandaime. He teaches Naruto how to summon toads and use Kurama's chakra consciously. This was when he met Kurama for the first time. After that Naruto relaxes until the fateful day of the exams. Naruto nearly loses to Neji, but Kurama's chakra helped him pull out a win. Rip. Oh. Jiraiya let out a girlish cry as Tsunade had a vicious and tight grip of his crouch. You threw him off a ravine. Tsunade growled. I had everything under control. I was confident he would get the fox to help him. Jiraiya protested as he tried to defend his actions. And if he never went into his mindscape? Hell, what if the fox decided not to help him? Tsunade asked. Jiraiya blinked a few times. I never considered that. That was the absolute worst answer to give, but Jiraiya realized this too late as Tsunade proceeded to beat the crap out of him with Naruto, Hinata, Shizune, Anko, and Kurenai helping. After Jiraiya was left a bloody heap, Tsunade turned to Medrick, who was looking at the spectacle with a sweat drop. Continue, Tsunade ordered as Medrick snapped his fingers for Jiraiya to be conscious, but still in pain for the rest of the viewing. He should be healed by the end of these flashbacks, Medrick mused as the projection began again. Then during the last round, Orochimaru initiates an invasion he had been planning along with another village, Suna. Naruto ends up fighting Gaara, who had Kurama's youngest brother, Shukaku, inside him but driven insane by the faulty seal that caused Gaara to have insomnia. Naruto was able to change Gaara's view on life, but many died in the aftermath of the invasion, including the Sandaime. "Wait, you were the one that beat Gaara and Shukaku?" Several of the genins exclaimed. "Yeah, it was a tough battle, but I managed to squeeze out a win with the help of the Chief Toad and the Kyuubi." "You better be grateful." Naruto rolled his eyes as he replied he was, which caused the fox to pause as he wondered what was up with his vessel now. Naruto stayed silent as he knew he owed the fox for helping him when he could have chosen not to and let Naruto get himself beaten to a pulp by Gaara and the Sand Demon, but he didn't. So the least he could do was give a thank you. Naruto and Jiraiya go to find the Sandaime's last student, Tsunade Senju. She is the greatest healer in all of the elemental nations and the strongest female ninja. She was in her 50s like her teammates, but looked to be in her 20s because of a special technique. Naruto finds out she is a drunken mess because of the loss of her loved ones during the last war and compulsive gambler with horrible luck. He is able to get her out of her drunken mess and convince her to return to the village, but not before there was a battle royale between Tsunade and Jiraiya against Orochimaru and his assistant Kabuto. Kabuto was in his late teens with silver hair tied in his ponytail. He wore round glasses and purple pants with a matching shirt and fingerless gloves with a white sash tied around his waist. The fight ended with Orochimaru and Kabuto running away. Though while Naruto did barely anything, he did learn his father's signature move, the Rasengan, during this time as a consolation. After they returned to Konoha and Tsunade became the Goddamn Hokage, Naruto went on several missions, including saving an actress that turned out to be an actual princess of Spring Snow Country and helping a powerful lord in the land of tea. However, everything went downhill when Sasuke tried to leave for Orochimaru to get more power so that he could kill his brother. Naruto and a team of his friends were chosen to go after him. In the end, it was a fight between Naruto and Sasuke at the Valley of the End. Naruto managed to take the win thanks to Kurama's chakra. Naruto. The blonde flinched from the sudden shout of Tsunade as everyone looked either in shock at the projection or the blonde himself. Did that happen exactly like we just saw? Did Sasuke Uchiha use the Chidori on you, not once, but twice? Tsunade demanded. Come on, Tsuba-chan. I am standing right here. What does it matter? Naruto asked as he inadvertently went back to his nickname for Tsunade. Tsunade did not look amused as she narrowed her eyes at Naruto. Naruto, I am not asking as your so-called Ba-chan, I am asking as your commanding officer, as your Hokage. Now answer the question with the truth, Genin, she ordered. Naruto gulped at the look he was getting. He knew they were not going to continue unless he answered honestly. And if he tried to lie, Medrick may just intervene. So with a heavy heart, he sighed and answered with great reluctance. Why yes. Did he also pile drive you into the ground, thus causing your spine and neck to snap and set you on fire multiple times? Yeah, Naruto said. Sakura was completely pale as she stared at the projection with wide unblinking eyes. She had begged Naruto to bring Sasuke back to her. Even though she knew how he felt, she made him promise to bring her crush back to her. Because that is what Naruto would do. Especially if it's for her. And when he failed, Naruto said that even if it took a lifetime, he would bring Sasuke back even after he tried and nearly succeeded in killing him. Oh god, what have I done? She thought with great shame. Damn you, Sasuke. Thought everyone that was on the retrieval mission. They busted their asses for the Uchiha and many of them nearly died for him, and what does he do? He brushes off all of their sacrifices and nearly kills Naruto multiple times. Hell, if it was any of the others then they would be dead right now. Hell, Naruto would be dead as well if it weren't for Kurama. I should have never taught him that damn technique. Kakashi cursed with great shame for teaching Sasuke the Chidori. You will pay for this, Uchiha. You as well, Orochimaru. But Kakashi, you and I will discuss giving a mentally scarred child such a dangerous jutsu like the Chidori. Tsunade swore. Hey, fox. Naruto called out to his furry companion. What do you want, brat? The fox demanded. Thanks for saving me. Kurama blinked a few times as he was unsure he heard that correctly. What? He asked again. I said thanks for saving me. You didn't have to, but you did, twice. So thanks. Kurama's eyes narrowed in anger as he shouted. Don't thank me. It's weird. I only helped you because I would have died if I did nothing. Plus watching you beat the Uchiha was enjoyable to watch. That's right, just a good pastime. Don't have to be such an asshole. Naruto grumbled. Despite his angry retort, Kurama was actually stunned to hear a thank you from his vessel. First an apology and now a thank you. He was seriously beginning to wonder just what was happening to him. Unknown to the duo, Medrick was smiling in their direction. They were making progress, he mused. Good. This would make things easier later down the line. He dragged Sasuke back hoping for some recognition at long last. Nope. Not even fucking close. Immediately the council said he had used excessive force to bring back the Uchiha and needed to be put down. They threw him in jail and told him that his execution would be held in a week. No one came to see him or even allowed to see him. Not his friends. Not his teachers. No Iruka. No Jiraiya. No Tsunade. No one. The last time he saw them was when he was dragged into the prison. All of his friends calling him a traitor and a monster. Apparently, the council blew the lid on his secret and now everyone knew he was the Kyuubi Jinchuriki and hated him for it. His closest people. Iruka, Tsunade and Jiraiya did nothing for him and watched in silence as he was taken away. Growls and shouts of anger. 50 traitors and hypocrites. Were the most common words spoken by the group. Along with a few colorful words, courtesy of Anko. "Go to damn hell, you backstabbing bitch." Tsunade roared to her other self. "How could you just stand there and do nothing? Did Minato's sacrifice mean little to you?" To us. Jiraiya demanded. "Never have I wished to blow my own head off," Kakashi said with clenched fists. It was in his time of solitude he realized how foolish he had been in trying to change the village. It was during this time that Hinata visited him. She bawled her eyes out as she confessed her love for him. She managed to find a way into the prison and had one night of beautiful love filled with passion. Minato, Kushina, and Hinata blush at this, and Kurama helps Naruto have one thing to remember her by. Nearly everyone that watched the projection with wide and unblinking eyes and completely red faces. Holy shit. Several of them went flying with a bloody red nose. Thump. Thump. Shit. Hinata and Naruto have fainted. Hey, why did we only see the beginning and end? I demand a rewind to see the whole thing now. Anko demanded. Please no. Several begged. Wake that brat. He needs to pay for taking Hinata's purity. Kurenai demanded as she began marching towards the unconscious blonde but. Smack. She was stopped by a smack to the head, courtesy of Anko. Are you high, Nai-chan? Hinata gave herself to Naruto, not to mention it was so the kid could have something to remember her by. Kurenai growled but relented knowing she was letting her protective nature get the better of her. Eventually, they got Naruto and Hinata to wake up but every time they locked eyes, they would blush immediately and turn away. Didn't think the Kyuubi would be so helpful in the end, Kakashi said. I still can't believe that brat made a deal with the Shinigami of all deities, Jiraiya muttered. Not like he had any other choice, Tsunade replied. Kurama was watching the projection with wide eyes. This kid is both the most reckless person I have ever met and the luckiest being probably in all creation. And I really don't know how to feel about that. He also gives Naruto his power since he has been the only one worthy of his power. He also reveals Naruto's heritage to him, which was the start of his hatred for his parents and his desire to destroy Konoha. That explains a bit, Guy said. Lawful timing, Asuma replied. On the day of his execution, the entire village came out to see it except Hinata and the Ichirakus. Naruto was killed by being set on fire. But he did not scream, he laughed. A bone-chilling laugh that filled the air and scared the shit out of everyone. He then told them his heritage and why Kurama attacked the village before finally dying and leaving his old world for a new one. Damn, that was intense. Was the general thoughts of everyone. And there is much more to come. Their host said. Great. The group grumbled. The screen finally disappeared as Naruto's eyes returned to normal. He was panting somewhat from the overuse of his eyes since it had been a long since he went that long with a memory projection. He realized that he was seriously out of shape and needed to fix that. Everyone looked at the projection incredulously, everything we have seen him do, and he calls that out of shape. Asuma said. If he calls that out of shape, I hate to see what in shape he can do, Anko said. Nothing short of insane. Medrick proclaimed. He looks up to see Hinata worried but waves it off. He turns to his parents and sees that they were broken in a sense. Everyone flinched. Damn. I know it would hit them hard but I didn't think it would be this bad, Naruto commented. Minato. Kushina. Kakashi, Jiraiya and Tsunade thought and worried. Both were crying their eyes, slamming their fists to the ground cursing everyone and wishing that the two just let Kurama destroy the village if this was what awaited their son. They cursed the Uchiha that released Kurama and turned him on the village, they cursed Sasuke for being the final nail to end Naruto's life, they cursed Tsunade, Jiraiya, Kakashi, and the Sandaime for not helping their son enough for looking after him. They cursed the entire village to the pits of hells and most of all. They cursed themselves for damning their son. They had foolishly believed that their son would be loved by everyone and would be seen as a hero by all. What fucking idiots they had been. Their stupid, naive idealism cost their son not only a childhood but a life in general. The question that continued to plague their minds was why? Why did the people they trusted with their lives did not do the same for their own flesh and blood? Did they just pretend to care about them and showed their true colors to Naruto? Was this really what they gave their lives for? They saved their village for their son to be beaten and killed. To be turned into a monster worse than the Kyuubi. I'm sorry. We really did fail you. We should have been better. But we were cowards to take up the responsibility. We could have done more, but we didn't. And this caused not only our DK Naruto and our Naruto to suffer unnecessarily. We wasted his potential and have squandered it with our own issue blinding us to it. Jiraiya thought. They were cut from their musings when Naruto began to speak. I have shown you the truth of my upbringing and now I have something to say. Something that has been long overdue. You two have caused me a great deal of misery in my existence. Whether it was indirectly or involuntarily, the fact remains is you made my childhood a living hell. But I should thank you since I was given a father in the form of Kurama and Thorin, Minato flinches, and a mother in Thorin's queen, Saphira, Kushina flinches. After everything that's happened to me, I can honestly say without remorse that I hate both of you. I hate you so much that it burns my very being. Even though you now feel remorse for your mistakes, it does not change anything for me. And that's why I can never accept you as my parents. Not now. Maybe not ever. The aforementioned duo felt their entire world shatter. Their own son doesn't see the two as his parents. Hell, he sees two dragons and the Kyuubi of all beings as his parents more than the two of them. They couldn't blame him though. They failed miserably as parents. All they gave him was a burden he was too young to understand or bear and left with people that turned their backs on him, wanted nothing to do with him, or wanted him dead. They hung their heads low as new waves of tears came to their eyes. Everyone flinched at Acnologia's words to his own birth parents. Damn, that was cold. Naruto frowned at his counterpart. He didn't have to take this far. I get why, but he didn't have to take out on them so harshly. Jiraiya was visibly shaking. How could he do that to them? After everything they did for him, he just cuts them off so easily, he said in anger. It's our own fault for not being there for him, Tsunade responded. Then we deserve the hatred, not them. They didn't do anything to deserve that. The Toad Sage snapped. The Slug Sannin shook her head. There's nothing we can do about those two, but maybe we can do something for our Naruto. That is if he is willing to listen, Kakashi replied. We will just have to try. We have to not let his anger solely focus on Minato or Kushina. They don't deserve it. We will take that hatred and hope he doesn't feel the same as our DK Naruto does to his parents. We fucked up so bad. Was their collective thought as they wept once more for the new wound in their hearts. The two felt a pair of arms wrap around them. They looked up to see Hinata's sympathetic gaze. The two buried their heads on her shoulders as they continued to sob and weep. Hinata held onto the two tightly as she whispered comforting words to them. She paused as she looked towards Naruto. She gave him a sad look, while Naruto retained a blank stare. She knew he was not bothered by her actions, and she knew she could not say anything to change his mind. Even during their time together, Hinata could not help Naruto to let go of his anger towards his parents. And it seems his time on Earthland had not been kind all of the time to him, and all it seemed to do was bury all his hatred down before it came all out today. She knew she had no right to tell Naruto who to consider as his parents, she just hopes that perhaps with time, Naruto will learn to forgive his parents after getting all that anger, rage, and grief out. Your other self is really amazing, Hinata. Naruto complimented while trying to avoid eye contact. Do you really think so? Hinata asked without looking at him. Yeah, she tried to help the other me, even though I was so filled with rage. You're even helping my parents, even when you don't have to. Thank you for that. Anytime, Naruto-kun. I will always be there to help you when you need it. Shikamaru clasped his hand on Naruto's shoulder. So will the rest of us. With all the other rookies nodding in agreement. Naruto looked at all of them with a small grateful smile. Thanks, everyone. I mean it. Meanwhile, the other occupants watched the scene with sadness and pity in their eyes. Kurama and Thorin knew it would be a long time before Naruto ever let go of his hatred for them if he ever does. The two just hope it's not at the end of his life again, so he doesn't die with regrets again in his heart. Thorin was next to speak after a period of silence. So do the rest of us hope for the same, Tsunade said with the others nodding in agreement. Naruto. Naruto turned to his mentor father. I believe you and the other two should listen to what Hinata had to say to you about the elemental nations after your abrupt end. Naruto turned to the girl in question, along with anyone else in the room, as she got up after Minato and Kushina had calmed down enough to listen as well. She sighed before she began recounting her tale. Oh, this is going to be good. I wonder what dirty secrets we'll learn from this. Anko giggled. Hopefully it's dirt we can use against certain individuals in the village, Tsunade said. Everyone looked at the Hokage curiously. What do you mean? Asuma asked. You'll find out later. So let's put a slight pin on this conversation. Medrick lectured. Well, after your execution, things got really bad for Konoha. When word got out that the village abused and executed the only son of the Yondaime, a lot of people were not happy. The village was split in two because of it. Those that felt guilty, a bit late for that in Naruto's mind, and those who did not care. The Kazekage, Gaara. The Spring Daimyo, Koyuki. The waterfall leader, Shibuki. The land of tea leader, Jiracho. The entirety of Wave cut all ties with Konoha. They were all disgusted with not only your upbringing, but also that you were executed for doing your job. The fire daimyo had to march down to the village after nearly drowning in angry letters from all the different countries that dissolved their treaty with us. He really let all of them have it as he ranted on them for their stupidity. Everyone whistled. Well damn. I was afraid that was going to happen. Tsunade sighed. Did I really mind so much to them? Naruto asked. You were the hero that inspired them, Naruto. You changed their lives for the better. So hearing about your execution will of course upset them. Though upset would be a very huge understatement. Medrick explained. The fact that the daimyo came to the village himself means things have gone to shit real quick. And it will only get crazier from here on, Medrick advised. Oh boy. The civilian council was disbanded and all of its members were executed and had all of their assets seized. The clan heads had to pay a hefty fine that depleted half of their total income. The shinobi elders were sent to a maximum prison. Danzo tried to fight back thinking this was his opportunity to take over, but Jiraiya and Tsunade killed him after a long battle. His rude Anbu then went on the offensive against the village. It became a bloody massacre, no one knew who was friend or foe. Are you fucking kidding me? Tsunade exploded. I knew that bastard wanted the Hokage seat, but I never thought he would go so far, Jiraiya growled. The rookies looked at the two Sannin in confusion, as well as noticing their sensei stiffening. Who is this guy? Naruto asked. Tsunade growled as she explained. That is Danzo. An old teammate of our sensei. Both of them along with the other two elders trained under the Nidaime Hokage, Tobirama. But both had very different views on how to run the village. The man is a militaristic warhawk that wants to eliminate any possible threats he sees to Konoha so that it is the supreme village in the world. The rookies looked at her incredulously. Does he realize how such a mentality can cause the village to have too many enemies to count and the number of lives that could be lost if we got into a conflict with him, Shikamaru demanded. Jiraiya shrugged his shoulders. He doesn't. If anyone dies he simply sees them as too weak to work in his version of what the village should be. Afterward, the fire daimyo wanted to know why Danzo wasn't watched more carefully if he was such a suspicious character, but all Tsunade could do was give excuses, which pissed him off even more. He basically removed nearly all power from the Hokage and basically made her a figurehead, and he was basically calling all the shots now. The rookies and Jonin all flinched. That's a bit harsh. Shikamaru finally said. Tsunade shook her head. Maybe, but I can't blame him for doing that. Why don't you try to get rid of him then? Sakura suggested. We can't. For one, that crafty bastard knows how to cover his tracks, so any of his crimes can't be traced back to him. Not to mention with the support he has in and outside the village, if we try to forcibly detain him, we will be in the same situation our alternative selves were. Jiraiya explained. The rookies all frowned. Then there is nothing we can do? Naruto demanded. At the moment, no. But if we bide our time and work together, we can get rid of him and make him pay for all the crimes he has committed. Tsunade answered. All of our former friends were in denial, and many of them blamed you for all the damage that was done to the village. The only ones who looked remorseful were Shikamaru, Choji, Lee, Tenten, and Shino. Again, a bit for that, thought Naruto. Sasuke was still in a medically induced coma to keep an eye on him. I decided to fuck him over for what he did to you. I added some ingredients to his medicine he was being injected with that slowly killed his ability to produce sperm. Normally the drugs he was being given were to keep him down, so no one knew what was happening to him until it was too late. By the time he was awake, his testicles were like a barren desert. Naruto stared at Hinata in shock. You mean you? She nodded with a smirk. Yup, I made that puny Uchiha the last one in every sense of that word. Well, the last one besides Itachi and that masked bastard claiming to be Madara. Hell, I even injected him with some special enzymes that permanently relaxed the muscles in his genitals so he could no longer get an erection. No children and no sex for that bastard ever again. Though I was saving any poor girl or guy stuck with him from a life of disappointment. He really earned the title runt of the Uchiha. Holy shit. Literally everyone in the room exclaimed. Did I hear right? A stunned Kurenai asked. Did she? Asuma nodded. Yeah, she not only sterilized the Uchiha and made him incapable of an erection. And confirmed he was a runt, Anko said. All was silent before everyone began to shake as they bite their lips, but they could not hold it in as they all burst out laughing. Ha 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 ha. Oh Kami. Kiba gushed out. My sides are burning. Naruto cackled. Damn Hinata, I didn't know you had it in you to be so vindictive. Anko complimented. Hinata blushed. Medrick smirked. Like the old saying goes. Hell hath no fury like a woman's scorn. Especially a widow's scorn. Hinata's face became tomato red. WW widow. She stuttered. Of course. I mean your other self and the other Naruto were practically married. Maybe not the traditional way, but ninjas aren't much for traditional. I definitely might have to take you off your senseis for a while and see what I can teach you too. Anko proclaimed as she pulled Hinata into a one-armed hug. She gave the girl a saucy smirk. Especially you Hinata. I bet by the time I am done with you, Naruto will be drooling in your hands, and maybe more. Hinata had gone nuclear red with Naruto not too far behind, though the shy Hyuga had a waterfall of blood going down her nose. Yep. Anko. What? Everyone here knows about the girl's infatuation for the little blonde bundle here. I am just saying I will lend her a hand to getting her man in more ways to one. Anko, the last thing we need is you turning Hinata into a mini-you. Kurenai scolded. What is wrong with me? The snake mistress cried indignantly. Meanwhile, Naruto was blood red as he imagined an older Hinata but wearing Anko's attire. This caused blood to leak down his nose as he shivered from the tightness he was feeling. Kurama chuckled from within his mind. Looks like puberty has finally found its way to you. Shut up. He said weakly. Medrick clapped to get everyone's attention again. Alright, let's get back to the viewings. Naruto could not help but roar in laughter, everyone else joined soon after. Kurama was rolling on the floor and could feel his sides hurt from all the laughing. Even Kushina and Minato could not help but chuckle at the girl's antics. Take that Uchiha team. They collectively thought. Hinata coughed out a giggle before she continued. I decided to go to Shizune to become her apprentice in the medical arts. She said I should go to Tsunade, but I told her I wanted nothing to do with that woman that could not do anything to save you. Plus she was taking Sakura and Ino as her students and I wanted nothing to do with those two either. Ino clutched her chest in mock pain. Ouch. How cold Hinata. Sakura nodded. I get why, but still that is really off to hear Hinata say that. She finally agreed and began teaching me about poisons, which Anko helped a bit in, and medical ninjutsu. Tsunade she wasn't the same after your death. I think it just finally broke any fight she had left in her. I think she only took Sakura and Ino in as apprentices so she didn't have to constantly remember she failed you. Anko cheered. Yeah, I got myself a student. She wrapped Shizune in a semi-tight hug. What do you say Shizune? Maybe we should take the little Hyuga under our wing and make her into a badass. I am sure we can teach all kinds of things that could be useful to her. Several of the genins blushed as their minds had several ideas of what Anko would try to teach Hinata. Hinata. Well, she was a few seconds away from fainting again. Tsunade smacked Anko over the head and told her to cool down. Anko pouted but adhered to the order. Thanks to my Byakugan and near-perfect chakra control, I excelled greatly in the medical arts. Then came my training in elemental manipulation. When Shizune tested my affinity, she was surprised I had a double affinity for water and wind. This finally explained why I was no good for Juken in its current state. The Juken was made for those with an earth affinity. It demanded someone sturdy and strong like a stone. But my nature demanded speed, flexibility, and adaptability. I decided to create my own style of Juken that complemented my two affinities to create a whole new way of using the Byakugan in combat. Hinata gasped. Wait, I am not earth nature. No Hinata, and that is nearly a constant that you are not an earth element. Or at least not your primary. I believe you are currently fire and lightning, but your sensei will have to check just to be sure. Medrick explained. That would explain so much. No wonder you struggled with the Juken. Niji realized. What do you mean? Niji? Naruto asked. Naruto, the Juken has always been a very grounded type of taijutsu. It's as the other Hinata explained. It's about sturdiness and delivering precise, powerful blows to crush our enemies. But if the person has a different affinity it makes the learning a lot more difficult because what that element demands can be completely different from what the earth element needs. Naruto nodded. I see. One day I was called by the Hyuga elders to the clan dojo. Apparently, they wanted to test Hanabi's skill against me once again. I decided to humor them for a bit and agreed to it. Hanabi tried to weaken my resolve by talking about how pathetic you were and she could have made a better wife for such a fool. That made me snap and forget about any restraint I was planning to show. I rushed right in and knocked off her feet in seconds and beat her to the ground until she was a bleeding mess. She beat Hanabi. Niji exclaimed. Ino flinched. Wow, she just had to use the worst choice of words to press her buttons. Still I never thought I would hear Hinata actively trying to hurt her sister, Kurenai said. The whole clan was shocked, some of the elders tried to intervene, but I knocked them to the ground with some powerful, but deadly strikes to their groins. PFFFFFFF. Everyone began choking, much to the shy Hyuga's embarrassment. Oh man, I am loving this other Hinata. Anko cheered. The Ashi was terrified by what I just did. He would have ordered me to stand down, but my glare stopped all that. I told him I was done with this bullshit from him and the rest of this disgusting clan. I told them that the shy Hinata was dead and gone forever. They wanted me to be a cold-blooded Hyuga, and they were gonna get it. Niji made a comment about me still being weak like the demon, and I countered by activating the seal on his forehead. The bastard screamed for a few minutes before I got bored and stopped. I told him that next time I won't stop until he was dead on the floor and said the same thing for the rest if they ever insulted you in front of me again. Everyone gasped in shock while Hinata looked at the projection in horror. She used the seal on Niji. Tenten exclaimed. Hinata shook her head. No, that can't be true. I hate that seal. I would never use it on any branch members. She quickly denied. Perhaps not you Hinata, but this other you seem to have a lot less restraint and her hatred for the village what it did to Naruto outweighs your own morals. Kurenai retorts. This is seriously sounding like Sasuke again. Kiba groaned. The difference being that Hinata isn't betraying her village or slaughtering her clan, Shino replied. After that, they never got in my way again. The entire house was afraid of me. I can't blame them. Everyone said. After a whole year, Shizune wanted me to sign the slug contract, but I told her I had another summoning contract in mind. With that, we traveled to the remains of Yasushi Agakure. Like Kurama said, I was able to enter thanks to your blood in my system from our marriage and found the contract to the Phoenix clan. Wait, there is a Phoenix contract? Naruto exclaimed in shock. It's how the Uzumaki gained their incredible vitality. However, I am afraid to inform you it does not exist in your world. Medrick explained. Naruto snapped his fingers. Rats. What are you complaining about, brat? You already have a summoning contract. Jiraiya protested. Naruto blinked a few times before scratching the back of his head. Oh yeah. Whoops. We kept it a secret from everyone and I worked on learning the super strength technique that Tsunade developed and learning elemental mastery and senjutsu from my summons. I even took some kinjutsu lessons from a friend that Anko recommended. Jiraiya gasped as he stared at the projection with wide eyes. She learned senjutsu. How? Everyone, except Tsunade and Kakashi, looked at the Toad Sage in confusion. Wait, what's senjutsu? Naruto asked. Naruto, senjutsu is a special ability that one gains from their summons if they deem the summoner worthy and capable of learning it. Medrick began explaining. It focuses on one absorbing in natural energy, the chakra that resides in nature, and mixing it perfectly with your chakra to achieve sage mode. If achieved properly you are on a completely different level compared to regular shinobi. Your jutsus become infused with natural energy and are known now as sage arts or senjutsu and far more powerful than normal. There are a few more details, but those are the bullet points you need to know for now. Jiraiya nodded. That's a basic understanding. Mastering senjutsu will easily make you a cage-level shinobi, and only another cage-level shinobi or someone with abilities to countermatch your senjutsu would be able to defeat you. Everyone's jaws dropped at how powerful this sage art could be. And Hinata managed to master it in such a short time. Naruto was beginning to think about how he could ask the toads to help him with learning about this. This went on for another 7 or so years. By the time I was in my 20s, I became the most powerful member of my age group. I had mastered my sage mode in 3 years and I was stronger than both Jiraiya and Tsunade combined. Over the years, Shizune and Tsunade started to drift apart. Shizune tried being there as always, but Tsunade just closed her and everyone else off. Hell, even with Sakura and Ino, she kept the relationship professional and never tried to get close to the two of them. After they were done training, she only spoke to them when it was assigning them missions or handing out tasks in the hospital. Tsunade had become a shell of her former self. She was just like how she was when you found her, only worse. This time no one could get near unless it involved the village being endangered or something happening at the hospital. Jiraiya and Shizune tried many times, but nothing worked. The Tsunade Senju they knew was gone and she was not coming back. Tsunade. I'm fine Jiraiya, let's just keep watching. Then during the last battle in the second invasion by Oda with Iwa and Kumo helping this time, I fought Sasuke after he left for Orochimaru again a few years earlier. He proclaimed the same bullshit from before. Talking about killing off all Konoha and then going after his brother before he would revive his clan. He said he was gonna make sure I was gonna be one of his wives as a way to stick to you in the afterlife. Everyone glared at the screen in anger, but none more so than Niji, Hinata, Kurenai, Kakashi, Tsunade, Anko, Sakura, and Naruto. Niji Nai-san, Hinata muttered as she tried to rein her cousin while also controlling her own rising anger. Easy, Nai-chan. Anko gritted out. Sakura and Naruto looked at the screen in distress and anger. Did Naruto mean so little to him? See what your mercy has done. The fool has allowed his greed for power and thirst for revenge has consumed him. He does not honor you or regards you in any kind of nostalgia. He sees you as a pebble. A piece of trash that was in his way, so he kicked you into the winds. That's what Konoha does. They just take and take. Aren't you sick of it? Kurama voiced his vessel. Naruto stayed silent as he stared at the screen. I beat the little bastard to the ground without too much trouble since he underestimated me far too much. His curse mark form proved to be troublesome, but I handled it easily with my Sage Mode and Elemental Jukin. I ended up beating the little bastard to the ground before I smashed his face into a million pieces with my enhanced strength. Jiraiya, Tsunade, Kakashi, and Guy fought Orochimaru, the Sandaime Tsuchikage, and the Yondaime Reikage. Oh Hinata. Anko cheered. Hinata. 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 Hinata blushed at all the praise she was getting. TTT thank you, everyone. I fought against their Jinchuriki later on in the invasion. I was being pushed to my limits even with my Sage Mode, but then I unlocked this purple chakra. The chakra of Himura Otsutsuki. It merged with my Sage Mode and transformed my eyes. They evolved into the Tensogen. It gave me the edge I desperately needed. Everyone looked surprised at the change to the Byakugan. Tensogen. Everyone repeated. I didn't know the Byakugan had an evolution, Niji said with Hinata nodding. Neither had ever heard anything about this. Medrick nodded. It does have one, it's just you need to go through several steps to obtain it. For now, I will say that Senjutsu is one of the steps to obtaining those eyes. Kurama looked up at the screen in shock. He remembered Himura briefly. He was the brother of his father, though his father only spoke minorly about his family as he was on death's door when he split he and his siblings into the form they were now known as. And this Hyuga managed to access his power due to her connection to her vessel and him. The fox wondered if a similar result could be achieved with a version he is familiar with. A theory to test for another time. The fox decided as he took a bite out of his meal to focus again on the projection. I used my new power to fight off their Biju forms and I managed to free the tailed beasts and send them back to the summoning realm, but before they left, I took a sample of their chakras for the final part of the plan we had concocted. Releasing the Biju from their vessels, which ended up killing the 4 Jinchuriki, had pissed off the cages of the enemy alliance. Without their Biju, they were forced to retreat, but they were not done yet. They hired the Akatsuki to help destroy the leaf and get back at me. Itachi especially wanted my head for killing Sasuke. The leaf knew it would not win easily and managed to convince Suna, Taka, Spring, and Kiri to help in the war. The daimyo even sent an army of his elite samurai. I am glad they are getting at least some help for the invasion, Ino said. I'm guessing they would be willing to help us with it meant getting rid of the Akatsuki and Orochimaru, considering the threat they possessed. Iwa and Kumo are more of a bonus, as many villages have had issues with those 2 villages in particular. Shikamaru explained. Then the third invasion occurred about 6 months later, which gave me some time to master my new powers. The battle between the 2 forces was bloody and destructive. I fought Itachi, Pain, and Conan at the same time. Jiraiya gasped as he stared at 2 faces from his past that he never thought he would see again. Yuhiko. Conan. Everyone turned to the Toad Sage in confusion. Jiraiya, how do you know those 2? Tsunade asked. Remember during the Second Shinobi War when we met those 3 orphans that Orochimaru thought we should kill? Tsunade thought back to that as the memories came in. Are they? She began as Jiraiya nodded in response. Yeah, they are the same kids I watched over for a few months and trained. But Yuhiko did not have the Rinnegan, it was Nagato. How did he get them and why does he refer to himself as Pain? Damn, those are some stacked odds against the girl. Anko cursed as many nodded in agreement. What's that Dojutsu that Pain guy has? Naruto asked. The Rinnegan. The Toad Sage replied. Kakashi looked at Jiraiya in shock before his face turned grim as he looked at the screen. So it actually exists. I always thought it was a myth. It's very real. Just what exactly is it? Kiba asked. It's one of the 3 great Dojutsu like the Sharingan and Byakugan. However, these eyes are unique. These eyes are said to be the one that belongs to the first god of shinobi, the Rakuto Sennin. Whoever has those eyes is literally god in human form. Not even the 5 Kage together could beat someone who wields those eyes. Jiraiya explained. All of the genin and the jonin that did not know much looked at Jiraiya with wide eyes. Could such Dojutsu be so powerful and actually exist? It seemed impossible, but Jiraiya confirmed they are very real and to actually hear what they can do, it was actually a little frightening. They dread to think about what abilities one could wield with those eyes. DRRRRR. Kurama growled from his cage. Naruto frowned at his tenant's action. Why was the fox so agitated? What's got you so riled? You humans have no idea of the true power of the Rinnegan and the Rakuto Sennin. There is still so little that you humans understand but the world around you. Naruto was unsure what the fox meant but decided to focus his attention on the projection again. I managed to kill Conan and Itachi, but I was nearly drained from the battle. Pain saw this and would have killed me if Shizune had not jumped in and taken the blow for me. When I saw my master die in front of me I snapped. My chakra levels spiked to ungodly levels. I began absorbing chakra from all around me and I absorbed the chakra of all the Biju I had collected over the years. I achieved what Kurama and you had wanted. My hair transformed completely white with a pair of horns growing from the sides of my head, but most importantly, I grew a third eye on my forehead. The Rin Sharingan. Kurama was right, I was the reincarnation of Kagaya Otsutsuki, or to be more precise, I was the atavism of Kagaya Otsutsuki. BFFFFFFFFFT. Within the seal, Kurama comically performed one of the biggest spit takes anyone could have probably seen, but thankfully for his own dignity, no one saw it. Though that did not stop him from screaming. Wait. Naruto flinched from the loud shouting coming from his tenant. There's no way. How could the power of that ever appear again in this world? Why are you screaming? Just who is this Kagaya woman? You know very little of the monsters that used to walk around this earth ninja. That woman is one of them. She was power incarnate with just one flick of her wrist she could create and destroy on a whim. She is the mother of all chakra. The demon rabbit goddess. That is Kagaya Otsutsuki. Rin Sharingan. Everyone uttered as they stared at the new Dojutsu in front of them. They could see that it's a combination of the Sharingan and Rinnegan, meaning it would have the abilities of both. However, after hearing Jiraiya's proclamation on the prowess of the Rinnegan and knowing how powerful the Sharingan can be, they couldn't imagine how powerful a fusion of the two could be. It's one of the original Dojutsu that the Sharingan and Rinnegan derive from. Kagaya Otsutsuki was the only one in the elemental nation to possess these eyes. With these eyes should cast a genjutsu that could cover the entire planet and everyone on it to fall under her illusion and even be able to travel to different dimensions without issue. Medrick explained though that was not scratching the surface of what Rin Sharingan could do. Everyone just stood completely slack-jawed at the deity's explanation. However, by the tone he was giving, they knew he was not lying. If those eyes could be something like that, just what type of monster was this Kagaya woman? And now Hinata had the same power. It was a lot to take in. Kurama scoffed as he knew the god was still some details about the Rin Sharingan, but perhaps that was better. The humans were not ready to hear the full truth about what the eyes were capable of, let alone the origins of Kagaya Otsutsuki. I had the power of the literal mother of all chakra. Pain stood no chance against me, and I defeated him after a long fight. I destroyed his eyes so one could ever use them again. Everyone nodded in agreement. That was actually a good plan. Tsunade complimented. Best to get rid of eyes like that to avoid someone else from using them, Jiraiya advised. Good, that Hyuga girl did well. While I shudder that she has the powers of Kagaya Otsutsuki, she did her world a favor in destroying those eyes. No one since the sage has been worthy of having those eyes. Not even his sons weren't worthy enough for his eyes. Naruto was just confused by his tenant's words. Just what are you talking about? Things that you are not worthy of hearing or understanding. Asshole. Naruto grumbled. I appeared over the enemy leaders and both sides were shocked at my new appearance. The enemy cages would not stand down and told Madara to make his move. Madara appeared in the same clothes as he did when he tried to take Kurama. That same vile orange mask pissed me off to no end. He used the Ito Tensei to revive the previous Jinchuriki along with an army of shinobi from Legends. Some of these guys included the 7 swordsmen of the mist, bloodline wielders, my mother, Shizune, and the Uchiha clan. Everyone glared at the image of the masked Uchiha. Filthy bastard. Everyone grunted. Damn, that's a lot of people he just resurrected. Anko couldn't help but be impressed. The amount of chakra to do so, Tsunade muttered with Jiraiya nodding. Naruto glared fiercely at the projection of the masked Uchiha. So that's him. Yes. He is the one who ripped me out of your mother and put me under your genjutsu to attack your village before your damn father freed me before sealing half of me into you. Kurama growled as he too was angry at seeing that bastard again. He hoped the alternative lavender eyes put an end to that miserable human for good. He tried to resurrect you but was confused when it did not work along with everyone else. That was when I knew you were alive somewhere and that gave me hope that you were happy somewhere away from all this. Everyone sighed in relief. Thank goodness for that. I was honestly worried about what was going to happen, Nietzsche said. That's the other me, Hinata, and the Shinigami had the last laugh, Naruto replied. Still can't get over how your other self made a deal with the death god, Ino said. Naruto shrugged. Hey, he kept his end of the deal, so did his job right. I used my new powers to wipe out his zombie army and barreled right after him. I managed to rip one of his arms in his Sharingan eye. I managed to damage his mask to reveal Madara, or Tobi as he called himself, was actually Obito Uchiha, one of your father's students. Minato and Kushina gasped in horror. While the genin were unsure of who the man was, they noticed that every one of the Jonins and Sanins' eyes were as wide as dinner plates. Wait. That can't be, he can't be alive. I saw him die. This can't be real. Kakashi uttered in complete denial. What the hell is going on? Tell us what this is about. Tsunade demanded. Medrick scratched his head as he was expecting this type of reaction. Especially from Kakashi. I will tell you that Obito is indeed alive. Both in the RDK world and the one you lot are originally from. Kakashi finally exploded. How? How is he even alive? Why did he never show up? Why did he betray everything that Minato-sensei and he stood for? Everyone, minus Medrick, flinched as they have never seen Kakashi react like this. Though his colleagues, the Sannin and Medrick understand why he was so affected by the news. Guy laid a hand on the masked ninja's shoulder so that he would calm down, if only a bit. Medrick began. You see, when Obito was buried under all the rubble, someone managed to get him out. This individual used the opportunity to train and mold Obito into everything he was not before. No longer was he the happy-go-lucky boy that dreamed of being Hokage. Now he was a dark and twisted man that had no desire to live in the reality we all live in. Instead, he wished to create a reality where everyone could be happy. A perfect world. What do you mean by that, and who turned him into that? And how does this involve the Biju? Asuma asked. Medrick hummed as he scratched his chin. Well, I was going to keep secretive for a bit longer, but since this story has brought this bombshell out, I might as well get this one out of well as they are connected. The person who saved Obito was none other than Madara Uchiha. What? Everyone, including Kurama, shouted in shock. How he died after his fight with the Shodai Hokage? Anko demanded. Medrick shook his head to them. That is where you are all misinformed. Tsunade narrowed her eyes. What does that mean? I mean that Madara faked his death using his Sharingan. He then went into hiding for all these years, waiting and biding his time to find someone to do his bidding, and he found one in Obito. Medrick explained. Obito wouldn't be turned so easily. He was too strong for that. Kakashi retorted. On any other occasion you may have been right, but seeing a certain incident caused Obito to fall right into Madara's hands. What incident? Everyone asked. Medrick sighed before he looked straight at Kakashi. Obito saw you murder Rin, Kakashi. Kakashi's eye widened as he went completely pale. What? He whispered aloud. You see, he heard about your mission and how Minato was not with you too and went to save you too, but by the time he got there, all he saw was you stabbing through Rin's chest with your Chidori. Wait. All of the rookies exclaimed in shock. The other Jonin looked grim as they knew why Kakashi killed Rin. Kakashi-sensei, that's not true, right? Sakura denied. There's no way Kakashi would do that, Naruto said. Kakashi gulped. He saw that. All of the rookies snapped their heads to look at the Jonin in shock. Medrick nodded. Yes, and before you all say anything, he knows that Rin chose to die. What? Why would she do that? Naruto shouted. It's because she was kidnapped by Kiri and made into the Jinchuriki of the Three Tails. She was made into a Jinchuriki. So she decided to die than be a Jinchuriki. Naruto exclaimed. Medrick shook his head. It wasn't exactly that. You see, the seal used on her was rather unstable, similar to Gaara. However, in this case, it was intentional to make it weak so that the seal was broken and Rin was rescued and brought back into the village so that the Three Tails could run rampant within the village. Kakashi-sensei, is this true? Sakura asked. Kakashi took a deep sigh. Yes, unfortunately. Everyone stayed silent as they could not imagine the guilt that Kakashi feels for killing his comrade, even if said comrade wanted to die to save thousands of lives within the village. After a period of silence, Kakashi spoke up again. What happened after Obito saw that? He awoke his Mangekyo Sharingan and went completely berserk and slaughtered all the Kiri shinobi as he had an epiphany that he was living in hell. Afterward, Madara explained that he could have the life he wanted. A life where Rin is alive and everything he wants is his. A perfect world. From then on, Obito was committed to achieving this perfect world. Medrick explained. And this perfect world requires the Biju being collected? Jiraiya inquired. Medrick nodded. Yes. The Biju are meant to be sealed into a certain statue so they return to their original form. He ended cryptically. They'll learn soon enough. Those fools. They do not understand what they will unleash to the world. Kurama roared at the top of his lungs. Why did these have a damn obsession in meddling with things that they have no power over? Before Naruto could ask what his tenant meant, Medrick spoke again. Let's leave this conversation for a later time. He tried to use the Jito Meizo with a little chakra he had of the tailed beasts. He only had the 1, 3, and 7 tails. Everyone else was back home in their respective realm. Kurama was dead for good because of the seal of the Shinigami, and the death god made sure he would stay in the afterlife. The worthless statue did not work properly since Obito did not have the proper eyes to control it, and that allowed me to destroy it. I created the biggest Gundama I could produce and fired it at the statue. It was obliterated instantly along with Obito and Zetsu and freeing the remaining Biju before I sent them home as well. Gudadama, what exactly is that? It was extremely powerful. You can think of it as the strongest physical application of chakra in its purest form. Purest form? Everyone asked in unison. It's something that can only be achieved with yin-yang release, which allows someone to use chakra in its original form. It presides over all forms of chakra you may all be familiar with and what all nature elements derive from. They are extensions of yin-yang release. With this power, you are a true god. You can create life, planets filled with life, your own dimensions with their own planets and cosmos, and even destroy entire worlds with it. Wow. Everyone said in awe of the fearsome power that RDK Hinata wielded at the tip of her hands. Orochimaru was finally killed in the final battle against his teammates, but so were Jiraiya and Tsunade. So in the end we killed each other, Jiraiya said in a somber tone. Maybe it was for the best. We screwed up that world, maybe the next generation can change it. Tsunade suggested. Iraikage was barely alive with one arm and leg. The Tsuchikage was bisected courtesy of Kakashi and Guy entering the battlefield. Kisame was dead from a fight with the rookies. They all died fighting him with Lee using all 8 gates to decide the fight. The other members of the Akatsuki had died earlier on in the years by one of them. Sasori died to Sakura and Chio, Deidara died in a fight with Kakashi, trying to blow himself up with him and failed. Haiden and Kakuzu died in a fight against Team 7 and 10 in the aftermath of Asuma's death. Toji gave a deep sad sigh. So we all died. That's a bit depressing. Yes, but we can hopefully avoid this with everything we're learning. Let's use this as a lesson of what we should and should not do. Shikamaru advised not only to his friend but everyone else as well. Everyone nodded. Right. So I died before the war, huh? Asuma sighed. Kurenai grabbed hold of his hand. That won't happen this time, Kurenai replied firmly. In the end, the 3 enemy villages were split between the other 3 and they decided I should be Hokage. I accepted it since I promised to make your dream a reality and change the village the way it was supposed to be. I even changed my name to Hinata Uzumaki because you were the only man that would ever touch me in my life. Well damn. There goes the 5 great nations. The duo great nations doesn't have the same ring to it, Anko snarked before giving Hinata a very sly grin. Aw, aren't you sweet, Hinata? I wonder if I can find such devotion. Maybe you'd be willing to share. Naruto and Hinata blushed. Anko. I changed a Hokage monument to have you on it as well. I explained that you had inspired me to become who I became and that you were the true hero of the war. It was also to show people what hard work and dedication can lead someone to. That is about it. I reigned as Hokage for about 50 years before stepping down for someone else. After that, I traveled the world helping whoever I could before passing away peacefully when I turned 125. Wow, you lived really long, Hinata. Naruto exclaimed in amazement. Is it because I became Kagaya's atavism? Hinata asked in a curious tone. Medrick nodded. Yes, that is part of the reason. Naruto looked at Hinata in awe. She made my dream come true even though I wasn't there. All because she loved me. Once more that warm feeling was feeling his stomach and chest. This was the first time that he found someone that would openly say they loved him, though it was an alternative version of Hinata. The Hinata also feels the same if the comments from the fox and his friends were anything to go by. Thank you Hinata. Anything, Naruto-kun. Naruto, Kushina, Minato, Kurama, and the others just stared in awe. Hinata had truly come a long way from who she used to be. Naruto could not have been more proud of his queen. She proved everyone wrong and she rose to heights even he did not think were possible. He ran up to her giving a passionate kiss before grabbing her by the waist and spinning her around. You're amazing my queen. You passed even my wild expectations. You truly are magnificent just like I said you would be. Hinata just laughed and gave him a kiss that he returned with equal passion. Now that is some steamy action I get behind. Anko proclaimed. Yep. A blushing Hinata said as she covered her mouth. How much longer are we gonna be seeing this? A twitching Sakura groaned. What's the matter, forehead? Getting jealous? Shut it, Ino pig. The Pinket snapped. The dragons let the couple enjoy their moment before speaking again. Naruto, as you can see, your mate grew to become a very powerful warrior. You were her symbol of strength and what helped her motivate herself to grow stronger than anyone else in her world could ever imagine. Naruto frowned before setting Hinata down before looking at Thorin. The person that motivated her was Naruto Uzumaki. I have not been that person in a very long time. I am Acnologia. I am no longer the person she ouch. Naruto was cut off from his rant when Hinata smacked him over the head. Ha 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 ha. Everyone, minus Hinata, began laughing hysterically. Shut the hell up, it wasn't that funny. Naruto snapped. No, it was hilarious. Kurama teased. Sorry, Naruto-kun. Hinata apologized. Don't worry Hinata, my other self was kinda asking for it. That's all we need to keep Naruto in line. Just have Hinata smack around when he gets too rowdy or emo. Screw you, Ino. What the hell Hinata? Hinata just looked annoyed. I hit you because you were spilling some bullshit again. You tell me you are Acnologia. So what? I told you no matter what happens I would follow you into the depths of hell. If you become the bringer of evil itself I would stand by your side till the end of time. Do you hear me? I love you. Whether you are Acnologia or Naruto Uzumaki doesn't matter. I will always love you no matter till the end of time. Ino clutched her heart. I can't handle such sweet moments like this. My heart is going to burst. Hinata and Naruto were really wishing that the earth could just eat them. If she can't handle this. I wonder how she'll handle Acnologia's interactions with Wendy and the others. Those should be fun. Medrick thought in amusement. Naruto just looked in awe at the girl in front of him. How can she still say all that? She doesn't even know everything he has done, yet he can tell none of it would change her opinion of him. She would always love him. All he could do just look at her in amazement before giving her a hug and whispering thank you again and again. Hinata just smiled and returned the hug. Oh. Naruto glared at everyone else, though his blush ruined the glare. Hinata could not even do that as she buried her face into her hands. Orin just smiled before continuing. See my son. Even your queen sees the good in you. You may say that you have no good in you, but you are wrong. And your actions in the last few years have proven this. Naruto looked at him questionably. Let's begin with the first thing you did. Remember when you found Mavis Vermilion? She was orphaned on her island and you could have left her on that island, but you didn't. You helped raise her for the years you two were together until she walked off to her own adventures. It was thanks to you that Mavis became the great mage she was and brought about the creation of Fairy Tail. Then there was the battle with that human Gildert's Clive. You could have left him there to die, but you went out of your way to heal him and take him to the nearby town. Your actions with the Dragon Slayers is another showing of your compassion. Finally, do I have to explain your actions on Tenru Island? Everyone blinked. Well you look at that. Asuma said. For someone who's done a lot of terrible things, he's done some good, Guy said. I think I can see why he left Gildert's alive. He saw him as a challenge. Perhaps he hoped to keep alive to have a rival again. Lee said. That's a bit of a stretch since Gildert's is nowhere near strong enough to challenge that Naruto. He also did not need to land on Tenru. He could have easily destroyed it without much trouble. Tenten replied. I wonder who this Mavis person is though? Kiba asked. Do you think that girl we saw in Tenru when Naruto blasted the island are connected? Ino asked. Everyone hummed in thought. Maybe. So he helped the Dragon Slayers as well. Maybe there's still some of the old Naruto in there. A hopeful Jiraiya said. Naruto just stared at Thorin in deep thought. Had he really been that merciful and caring without him realizing it? He saved Mavis because he sensed the potential within her. He saw the greatness that was begging to come out. It was the same thing he saw within Hinata. But there was something else in her, something that he had not seen in a long time. He thought back to the fight with Gildert's. He let Gildert's live because no one had challenged him in such a long time. He awakened a spark within him, even if it was only an instant. He let him live because he wanted to see if the human could become stronger from this encounter. So he felt a connection to Mavis. Interesting. Tsunade said. And he saved Gildert's because he saw a potential rival, Nietzsche said. Hope Gildert's is ready for the future fights he'll be dragged into, Kiba muttered. Denru? He did not even need to remember. Those humans entertained him. Plain and simple. He saw the potential in those humans and tested them for that reason. Plus, his daughter was part of the guild, so he had to show some restraint. Oh. Nearly everyone exclaimed. So we were right. You two do have a kid. Ino cheered. And one that's a member of Fairy Tail. I wonder who that could be. Anko teased. I think I know who that is. Thought Shikamaru, Niji, Shino, Jiraiya, and Tsunade. She was one of the Dragon Slayers he checked on from time to time. He felt an obligation to do this since he had a debt to repay to the dragons. The one he watched the most was his daughter for obvious reasons. She was his flesh and blood and unfortunately was the youngest of the children to become a Dragon Slayer. She was only 5 when Grandini left like the other dragons did. Several shouted in shock. Wendy is mine and Hinata's daughter. Naruto exclaimed with Hinata looking close to fainting with her face looking like a red beacon that could light up a lighthouse. That's why she looked so unaffected by your appearance on Tenru. It's because she recognized you. Shizune realized. Is that why I felt so protective of her? Naruto and Hinata thought at the same time. The two looked at one another but blushed and quickly turned away. Oh, this is getting interesting. Anko giggled. He even made small talk with her as she grew up in Kate's shelter. Part of him wondered why she became so attached to him after just a few visits. Did she know about him? Who he really was? It would explain why when he arrived on Tenru she was not scared like the rest. She was confused but also happy. She was happy that the first thing he does when they meet again is to attack her and the rest of her guild and not give any explanation. The fact that even he finds her actions weird should say something, Shikamaru said. She is Naruto's daughter. So we expect some weird shit from her. Ino commented. Oh, his daughter was really weird. Just like her mother, he supposed. Seriously, even you other me. Hinata then looked at Thorin with curiosity in her eyes. Thorin Otu-sama. Can you show me an image of my daughter? I would like to see how she has grown up. Thorin just smiled before turning to the chronicler that projected an image of her daughter. Hinata immediately squealed at how adorable her daughter looked. Well, that was a cute reaction. Anko gushed. I guess that's what happens when you become a mother, eh Hinata? Ino teased. Everyone. Hinata stuttered. Don't get ideas Naruto, Kurenai warned as she saw the odd look the boy was giving her student. Naruto flinched. I wasn't thinking anything. Tsunade facepalmed. Great, now I have to keep an eye on those two, she muttered. Even Kushina had hearts in her eyes. Hinata looked back to her beloved with stars in her eyes. What's her name, Naruto-kun? She asked. Wendy. Wendy Marvell. Wendy. Like the wind. A fitting name. She's beautiful Naruto. She is our daughter, of course, she would be beautiful. Awa. Several gushed. Look at them, having a moment as happy parents, Shizune said. So romantic. Ino sighed happily. Hinata and Naruto were just begging this ended soon. Naruto. Naruto turned to the chronicler. The time has come to explain why we have called you here. This ought to be good, Anko said. Naruto looked at the dragon seriously. The chronicler spoke this time. You know I am the son of the dragon god of time, Dialga, correct? Naruto nodded. So dragons have gods as well? Naruto asked. I wonder how many other dragon gods exist. I wonder if other pantheons of gods exist in this world, Shikamaru said aloud. Considering what we have seen in this world so far, it would not be the craziest thing we would see, Jiraiya said. Are we going to see these dragon gods? Kiba asked. Yes, but it will be a while before you will see one, Medrick replied. Well, as you know, I can look into the future from time to time. Although they are just glimpses into them. Visions really, but they are very probable of happening. In my vision, I see our world 14 years in the future. In this future, the entire continent is a wasteland and humans run in fear every day and are nearly extinct. The reason? Dragons have run over the world and rule over it with an iron fist. Everyone breathed in sharply. Well, that's a way to drop a bomb. Anko finally uttered. So they want him to stop this event from happening? Naruto wondered. Jiraiya shook his head. I doubt it's as simple as that. There must be more for them to bring that Naruto to speak with along with the others. Not to mention there's no guarantee that those events will happen as it was explained, Shikamaru said. Why do you say that? Choji asked. Remember what the chronicler says. He sees visions that are probable of happening. Meaning they can or cannot happen. And I guess that he's lived for a long time, so he's seen millions of visions of different events that may occur. This means to me that there exists an infinite number of different possible futures that we can be led to, but our choices would very likely affect what future we get to. The Nara explained. The rookies looked at the Chunin as if he grew several heads, while the older shinobi looked rather impressed, Asuma looked especially proud. Aren't you reading into this a bit much? He's not wrong, Medrick told his audience. Really? Shikamaru scoffed. Was there any doubt? Just as there is an infinite number of different worlds in the Naruto-verse, there also exists an infinite number of possible futures for each of those alternative universes. Every decision you make will change the future you head towards. It is never set and constantly changes with the decision that you make in your lives. The god explained. Wow. Was all anyone could say. To know every decision and choice they make affects the future in some shape or form was insane. It made them wonder about the different timelines that they could have unintentionally created with the choices they have made. Naruto looked in shock. None of the dragons he knew would ever do that. Sure, there was Kyurem, but even that sadistic ice freak had a code of honor. Who would dare do this? To answer your question. None of these dragons are our allies. These were man-eating dragons of the Dark Army from 400 years ago. So this involves time travel, Anko said. I am not even surprised at this point, Tsunade replied. Does time travel even exist in our world? Shikamaru asked. I do believe Minato was researching it, but he never told me if he ever made a breakthrough, Jiraiya explained. I need to see those notes. Naruto swore. Naruto was shocked. But how? I thought most of those beasts were killed at the climax of the war. How are they still alive? Because they came through a portal in time. Naruto froze at that. What? He whispered. 7 years from now an eclipse gate is opened. Someone will try to open a portal to 400 years in the past to kill Zeref before he became an immortal and by extension stop you. But it backfired. The portal was opened, but instead of going in, something came out. 10,000 dragons came out of the portal and invaded all of Fiori and then the rest of the continent. Well, that backfired spectacularly. Asuma cynically said. Naruto was just standing in shock at what he just heard. But he could not deny that what he said made sense. During the war, several dragons from both sides disappeared in the conflict through a portal in the sky. He always wondered what happened to those dragons. He also growled that someone was trying to use one of Zeref's magic against him. Nothing good can come out of time travel or messing with time in general. It always ends badly for someone. I think we can all agree we should try to change events that have passed. Nothing good comes from trying to mess with the past. Tsunade advised everyone. "Hi," was the unanimous response. Naruto looked at the two dragons. "So you want me to go stop this invasion and destroy this gate 7 years from now?" Thorin shook his head. "We want more than that, Naruto. It's time you get rid of this guilt and shame you have been carrying around for these past 4 centuries. Zeref will soon begin his destruction of the world and you are the only one that can stop him. Let's not forget about the remnants of the Dark Army and the other malevolent beings that still linger around the world. This is an opportunity for you. You said you still feel responsible for your crimes against the dragons, then help the humans. They will need your guidance. The dragon slayers need your guidance. You are the only one that can help them." So they want him to take this chance to change. To get out of his pit of depression, rage, and self-pity and actually do something. Shizune said. They want him to be like he used. Kurenai continued. But can he? Tsunade asked herself. Naruto shook his head, they would never agree to me helping them. The humans would sooner die or try to kill me before accepting my help. Then you make them believe in you. He turned to Hinata and she just smiled at him. Here comes the compassionate wife speech. Ino cheered. This ought to be good. Everyone said. Naruto-kun, you have always done the impossible. You have inspired those around you to go beyond what they are capable of. You did it for me, Wave, Gaara, Suna, Taka, Shibuki, and many other places. Please don't let this chance slip away from you. If not for you, do it for our daughter. She deserves to live a life full of happiness with her loved ones. Please, Naruto-kun, do it for our beautiful baby girl. Please, we need you to be able to help again. Please, please, please listen to her. Everyone was muttering. Come on, other, you can do it. Naruto cheered for his other self. Please let there be some part of the kid that could inspire others to be more than they could be. A boy that could bring hope to others and work to be better. Let some spark of that boy still exist in Acnologia. Tsunade quietly said to herself. Naruto looked down and thought. Could he do it? Could he really let go of all his guilt and start living again? He imagined Wendy's happy face with all her nakama, falling in love with a boy, walking her down the alley, and watching her have children of her own. He remembered what Kurama said of never letting the hatred consume him. To always press forward and never give up. Then he remembered something else. Some very important words from the past. Insert song. Naruto O's decision. I said it and I never go back on my word. That's my nindo. My ninja way. The person is truly strong when they have something precious to protect. Never forget who you are, Naruto. I am proud to call you my vessel, Kit. You are the only I call worthy enough to have earned my respect and trust. That's why I am proud to call you successor and my son. Good luck in the next life, Kit. I am proud to call you my son, Naruto. You are the first to learn magic from a dragon. You are the first of your kind. The first dragon slayer. The dragon slayer to the dragon king himself. Now go and make me proud. Don't grieve, Naruto. I don't blame you for what you did. Remember, I will always love you. I will fight to the bitter end with you, Naruto. Because I love you. I love you just as much as Anna does. You two complete me. Oh, it seems that Gaki really did get harem in that world. Jiraiya perversely proclaimed. Shut it, Iro-senin. You have great potential within you. I can feel it. You are meant for great things and I will help your journey by setting you on the right path. I promise to be there for you, Mavis. I promise to save you, Naruto Nai. This is the age of magic. The age of miracles coming to life. So please don't give up on humanity yet. I know Fairy Tail will save you from the darkness. I swear it. It's the promise of a lifetime. Oh, how cute. I can't wait to see their interactions as siblings. Ino gushed. Promise, huh? Naruto muttered. Don't be a stranger out there. Everyone needs someone to talk about their troubles. Even a stubborn brute like yourself. So if you ever need a drink and someone to talk to, my doors will always be open. That sounds very similar to her, Kurenai said. I wonder what's the history between those two? Asuma asked. I wonder if Acnologia knows about Ultier. Kakashi wondered. Make sure to visit on occasion. I would like to see you a few times before I finally kick the bucket. Please look after my daughter. The burden she has is a great one and I fear she won't be ready for us to come with that burden. Please help my darling Lucy. Wait, so he has a connection to Lucy as well? Naruto asked. I wonder how many people this Naruto is connected to? Shikamaru asked. I promise to always look after you. I will make sure you live a full life and be able to have the life I was denied. I promise to always protect you, Wendy. I will always love you, my darling daughter. Oh, that's so sweet. Several of the girls said. Naruto actually makes a good dad. Naruto pouted from everyone's words. Hinata tapped his shoulder. She looked at her crush with a blush. It's okay, Naruto-kun. You are a great dad. Naruto smiled with a blush. Thanks, Hinata. That's right, he mused. Naruto Uzumaki always kept his promises. He had broken so many before, but it was time to change that. He will not break a promise to Hinata, not to his first queen, especially when it was about their daughter. Naruto looked at Hinata before smiling and kissing her. He turned to the dragons. I accept your terms. For too long I have been in a state of self-pity, of guilt and shame, but it's time to change. I will not allow those savage dragons to destroy the world. I will help those weak humans. I will destroy Zeref and all of his followers. I also will not let those savages shit on the legacy that you and the other dragons have left for me to live up to. I am Naruto D. Marvell. I am the first of the dragon slayers. I am Acnologia. I am the Dragon King. Yes. Everyone cheered. Naruto is back. Kiba exclaimed. Thank Kami. Naruto, Hinata, Tsunade, Jiraiya, and Kakashi said. Everyone smiled with pride at Naruto's choice. Hinata gave a peck on the cheek. Naruto asked what he needed to do first. Well, first of all, we will return you to Mount Zonia. From there you have 7 years to retrain yourself, explained Thorin. Naruto looked at him blankly. I guess training has not been on his mind in a long time. Guy commented. Considering what he can do, I can see why he wouldn't train, Asuma replied. Yeah, being able to blow a country in a single attack would do that, Anko said. Thorin rolled his eyes at his son. Don't give me that look, Naruto. You have not trained in over 400 years. You are rusty and need to get back in shape. Plus this gives you time to master all of your powers. And I do mean all of them, do you understand? Naruto growled, knowing exactly what he meant. But he needed to have all his powers in check to fight Zeref, and maybe that power will give him the edge he'll need against him. So he has a power that he can't control. Shizune said. Is it the fox? Ino asked. No, I don't think so. They would have said so if it was. Tsunade replied. I suggest we wait and see what happens. Naruto sighed before nodding. The chronicler smiled sadly. Unfortunately, it is time to say goodbye, Naruto. Naruto looked broken but knew this would come to an end eventually. Just like all good things. He began to see everyone begin to fade. Kurama looked at Naruto. Naruto, you have made me a proud fox. I would not expect anything else from my chosen vessel and son. Remember to never lose yourself and keep moving forward. Don't ever give up. Do me proud, kid. And with that, Kurama, the Kyuubi no Yoko, disappeared. Naruto and Kurama how to feel at the close relation their alternative selves were. Though Naruto would admit that maybe getting along with the fox would be beneficial for both of them. That is something he will have to think about for a bit. Naruto turned to Minato and Kushina. The three just looked at each other in silence. Oh boy. They all said. Here we go, Jiraiya said. Look, Naruto began to speak but was cut off when the two hugged him, which left him dumbfounded. You don't have to say anything, Minato said. Even if you hate us, we don't mind. We deserve it for failing you. But know this one truth, Naruto. Kushina said. We will always love you no matter what. The two said in unison before vanishing. He was left completely speechless and frustrated on what to say or feel. He turned to the last person, Hinata. He tried to speak, but he choked up any response, which made Hinata smile. She reached into her pouch and took out some items. A worn-out blue headband with a leaf symbol engraved on a slab of metal on the cloth. A large black scroll with a red swirl. A necklace with a green jewel. The last item was a picture of her in her Hokage robes. He looked at her questioningly. She smiled softly. Hey, that's the necklace I won from Bachan. Naruto proclaimed. I guess it makes sense that you would give it to Hinata so that she would keep it safe. She was your wife. Ino replied. Naruto scratched the back of his head. Thanks, Hinata, he said sheepishly. Oh, of course. Hinata stuttered. The scroll contains some surprises for you and Wendy. The necklace was yours to begin with, so I am returning it to its rightful owner. The picture is for you to have on hand, plus I am sure Wendy will like a picture of me. There is an album and the scroll along with my gift for you. My headband is for you to have something to remember me. You wore my blood against Niji, so I hope you would wear my headband the same way. Naruto smiled. Naruto, promise me you won't give in to despair again. Promise you will help those that need it. Please look after Wendy. Please be a loving parent to her. Every girl needs her daddy to be there for her. I can tell you found love again and that you have other children, Naruto-kun, and I'm glad you found happiness again with someone. I know you lost them, but you shouldn't let that stop you from loving someone. So promise me you won't stay alone. Promise me you will attempt to find love again. You need it, Naruto. I want you to be happy, so please do your best. Ino sniffed comically. This is so beautiful. A little mushy, but still cute, Anko said. It does look and feel nice. Naruto and Hinata muttered in unison. The two turned to one another before blushing and looking back up to the projection. Hinata, I promise to do my best. Hinata and Naruto share one final kiss. I love you, Naruto-kun. And never forget, I will always watch over you. I love you too, Hinata. My lavender queen. My goddess of the moon. I will love you for all eternity. Hinata continued to smile until she faded away. Naruto let a few tears fall as he let it sink in that they were gone. Gone, but not forgotten. They will always be with me. He thought. He turned to the dragons. End of theme. Thank you, chronicler. The Aqua Dragon smiled. I will see you soon. Good luck, young Dragon King. He too soon faded. Naruto, remember that no matter what, I will always be with you along with the other Dragon Kings guiding you. Just look inside yourself. Never forget who you are. You are my son and the one true king. Farewell and make me proud. Thorin glowed a bright green light that expanded throughout the void. I promise, father. Everything went black for Naruto after that. I wonder what happens next? Choji asked. When Naruto opened his eyes again, he was on Mount Zonia again as the sun is setting over the horizon. He sees in his hands the gifts Hinata left him with. He puts on the necklace and seals away the scroll and photo within a pocket dimension he wields. He looks at the headband and smiles. I promise I won't ever forget. Is he gonna wear the headband? Kiba wondered. I don't think so. He may keep the cloth because it belongs to Hinata, but he won't wear Konoha's symbol again. Niji said. He rips off the metal slab and sends it into his pocket dimension as he ties the blue cloth around his right arm as he looks towards the crimson-orange horizon. The eyes that were filled with rage, emptiness, grief and sorrow now had a fire ignited within them. A fire he did not think was there anymore. Acnologia was Naruto de Marvel once again. And this time nothing was going to stop him. Everyone sighed. It's good to see him be like the Naruto we know, Ino said. I am not entirely sure, Shikamaru replied. What do you mean? Ino asked her teammate. I mean, he may have some of the fire of our Naruto, but we know that Acnologia will never go back to who he was in Konoha. I want to see what happens next. Lee said in excitement. Yes, please. Everyone else said. Alright. I heard you. The next one will show us the return of the fairy tale members on Tenru. Medrick explained. Yeah. They all cheered. Medrick laughed. Then let's start the next one. And there you have it. We have finally passed the prologue of RDK and officially begin again after the 7-year time skip. I apologized again that this took a while, but chapters like this take a lot longer than expected, so I hope the wait was worth it. The next update won't be for a while. Now I hope you guys enjoyed the portrayals. Now Naruto is aware of Hinata's feelings, both are growing closer, Sakura is getting jealous, and a change is happening between Naruto and Kurama. Now, these threads and many more that I did not mention will develop throughout the story of Glimpse. They will not be dropped or ignored, they will be slowly developed throughout. I am unsure of how far this will go, but I am going to make this last into the far future, whatever that ends up being. The characters will change and have very different or only slightly similar mindsets to the ones in canon and anime. This will be especially true for Naruto, Kurama, Hinata, Sakura, Kakashi, Tsunade, and Jiraiya. This will be ones that will see a lot of change throughout, since Naruto is the central figure and these people are the ones most affected due to how close they to him. Now I am gonna be preoccupied for a while, but I promise that the next update will feature all of the stories getting updated. I just need to write out a few details, outlines, arcs, etc. before we get to writing. I will make sure that some of them are at least ready before the year end. So please just be patient. Onto the next bit of news. I have something special that would be published to celebrate Halloween due to how lackluster it was this year. But I still want to do something to celebrate it. Be on the lookout for that. Next bit of news. While working on this and the update for RDK, I have brainstormed a lot of other story ideas. So I am wondering which one sounds more interesting for you guys as a concept for a story you would like to see. I would like to say that all these ideas will eventually be published, I just want to know which ones you would like to see first. Here are the ideas. What if Reading Naruto is Acnologia Konoha end here, and thanks for watching my video till the end.